Where's my phone?
Somebody call or text us and tell us whether it's working now, audio and...
Okay, I got, Susan says audio is back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going?
Okay, but it's not split screen, the horizontal split?
Mine is.
All right. Oh, yeah, okay. So there's audio.
Is it working now?
Yep. Okay.
Lots of background noise, you're saying, but I think that's...
That's probably all.
The audio came out on back.
Yeah,
Right?
you
Pick it up
guys
on phone.
gotta turn off your phones. We gotta turn off the heat.
She said the audio came back on, just a lot of background noise.
Okay.
Everything else.
How about now? Everybody's off? Everybody's off. Are we good? Somebody text us and tell us that's better, if that is better with no background. John, secretary. Well, I just heard.
Okay, it's good.
Good?
That's what Jake Askin's saying anyway.
Who? Jay Gasson?
Yeah.
I forgot where we were. We're still on number one.
Sue says you sound good. She can be some crap about the mask.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were right at, we approved the
Bills.
bills, and we are.
Starting on number one.
We're talking about the next
I
line.
know you're talking about the water rates.
So we gotta just,
Well, the problem is, if you recall, we tried to put ourselves on the right track by amending an ordinance with ordinances. So we adopted ordinances 2 through 6.
oh, we have to produce the paper, don't we?
Right, so, and the goal was, is that before we amended it again, we fixed the ordinances to say we could raise rates by resolution. But we haven't had the opportunity to rewrite our ordinances yet. So we have to introduce ordinances 7 through 11 to amend what was already done, to amend the rates. And when you have an ordinance, you have to have both here. So this is all created by trying to do everything right, but unfortunately we got tripped up by bad rates.
So we need at our next meeting to have those corrected ordinances.
Yes, and I talked to Jesse about it, she's gonna have them.
And we'll introduce those.
You'll introduce them and set a public hearing for your meeting in June, probably.
Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't wait real long before we do that at our next meeting, and maybe we should adjourn this meeting and do just those items, just to get that time clock started officially.
Yeah, you can do that, sure.
Because the correction for the ordinances, if it's on a Word program, it's pretty simple, right?
Yes, Jesse's all set. She's all set.
Yeah. So I think at the end of this meeting, we should adjourn it to whether people want to do it this week or next week, but I'd rather not wait too long.
We don't have to wait until June. We can do it sooner than that, right? Right. I mean, if you wanted to adjourn this meeting, I'm making it up the next Wednesday to introduce the 5 ordinances.
Yep.
Set public hearings, and that's it.
Yep.
No big deal. The only question I would have on this one is, we obviously billed this last quarter.
Not according to this, we didn't.
We didn't? Okay.
No.
Okay,
That
good.
was the deal. These rates don't take effect until this current billing period that we just started.
Oh, see, because on the paper it said April 1st.
Right. So, in other words, we haven't billed for that yet, because we won't bill for April 1st.
Okay, there was
Until,
okay, there was a little bit of, the village is on the assumption that we're starting this new rate, starting the first quarter of this year, which was the quarter we just got done
where did you hear that?
from the village,
When did you hear that?
at a town board meeting a couple, 3 months ago.
At a town board meeting or a village board meeting?
No, here.
What does it matter what the village
No, I didn't say the village, I'm saying here. We said it was gonna be the first quarter of this year.
We
Because
changed that,
originally-
we changed that at the last deal, because that's when we put April 1st on there, right, Jesse?
exactly. Yeah, it couldn't be
Yes.
January. They
Yes,
couldn't
we changed
prorate
that, Mike.
No, with the prorated portion of it, they wanted to start it in like, October to fit their quarters. And we said, no, that's the middle of our quarters. Can we wait until January 1st to start the new rates? That's what we talked about.
Well, they did change that, though, they did.
Yeah, they did, I don't see where there's a problem.
Okay, okay, but this.
I mean, we already know that the village changed the rate that they charged us.
Okay, what I was driving at is if we charge different rates last quarter, we're either gonna have to give people money back or do something. If we didn't do that, then there's no issue, but that wasn't the intent.
What, it was in the intent in the beginning, and then we found out, and we were advised not to do the retro. And I agreed with the not
That's not
doing it
what I-
retro,
yeah, that's
because
not
I
what I'm
agreed
saying.
that we shouldn't pass in March a local law or do an amended ordinance to retro it to January, and everybody agreed with that. And we chose the April 1st
April
date,
1st,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
that's not my but anyway, it's neither here nor there, but that's not my recollection.
Yeah.
All the paperwork reflects April 1st.
All the ordinances say April
Yeah.
1st.
No, I know that, but that's not what we talked about last year at all.
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
last
I
year
agree.
at
Not
all.
last year, but we've talked about it a
It was gonna
bunch
be
of times since the
January,
last year.
starting January 1st.
That last year, we talked about that.
And that was and I'm sure the villages are.
Oh, you're right, but we learned we couldn't do that, or it wasn't right to do that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so are we gonna set a date? We gonna
What's
set
good
it
for everybody?
For next Wednesday?
By me,
Okay, good by me.
6 o'clock?
It's fine.
Or actually, if it's just for that, we can do it at 5 o'clock. I've had some people ask me about moving this meeting to 5 o'clock anyways, to have it be a little bit earlier. What's that?
Personally, I would like that to be a little bit earlier. I
Yeah,
don't
I
like
agree.
6 o'clock.
Everybody else okay with that?
So we talk about next
So we'll
Wednesday?
do next Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, tonight you'll adjourn to that date, at the end of the
What's the
meeting.
date on that one?
29th of April will be?
Thank you.
And is that, will we have the public meeting then for?
No, all you'll be doing that night is introducing the ordinances and scheduling the public hearing for your next regular meeting.
Now, we have to wait 30 days?
No, but you have to have the ordinance on the table before you can schedule a public hearing.
No, I meant,
No, it doesn't have to be.
when we advertise for that public hearing, what's the advertising?
It's 10 days.
10 days, I
10
think.
days.
Okay,
That's all. You're fine.
that's my question, yeah. So realistically, we could do it in 10 days from next Wednesday?
Well,
No, from the advertised,
Yeah,
from the advertised date,
Yeah,
From the
Yeah,
advertising,
okay.
correct, yeah.
so you're talking the first meeting in May.
couple weeks,
Well,
yep.
yeah.
This wouldn't have to be next Wednesday, we want to move that or that too. I mean, we want to go Tuesday or Monday, as far as I'm concerned.
Do it when?
You could go earlier next Wednesday if you want to, as far as I'm concerned.
But,
To what everybody hears.
If you're looking for,
Sandy, you got a kind of plan for Wednesday nights, right?
yeah, it doesn't matter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are fine with me. But what I'm thinking is, yes, we wanna get this done, but if we start thinking about June, then maybe we'll be open back up where people can actually physically come in here rather than just, you know what I mean?
So
Right now,
we're
closed.
April,
So if we
May,
did-
June. Our bill will go out the first week in July. I'm just saying, we're gonna get into this period.
Right. Because of the April.
I'd rather not move this effective date to July and keep it at April 1 like we have. And I don't believe there'll be a complaint because the rate's gonna be lower.
Okay, so let's see, if the 29th, if April 29th is Wednesday, then look at the following Wednesday. What does that fall on? Is that was it May what?
6th.
May 6th, so that's when it goes into the paper. 10 days from that,
It's on the 16th, which is a
Saturday.
Saturday,
okay,
yeah.
so then that week is when we can do the public hearing.
Yep.
Is that enough time? I guess that's, you wanna look at it that way.
if we did 2 weeks from tonight, which is what we've been doing, that would be May 6th. And then if we did our regular May meeting, which would be May 27th, that would give plenty of the 10 days. And
So we just hold a special meeting next week to do the proper introduction
So he's talking
program.
about 2 weeks.
do it on the 6th, do it in 2 weeks.
Oh, do the, yeah,
Do the special in 2 weeks for just the ordinances. And then it can be in the paper by the following week,
That
and the
following
TI sign.
Wednesday. Yeah.
And then you've got your 10 days before the 27th, which would be our next board meeting.
And you won't do a special meeting, you just adjourn to the 6th of May.
Right, okay.
So then
I'll
if
get
that,
these terms, I promise.
That's okay.
that's true, then April, May, June, then that would give you enough for your billing, because you're gonna go
so
back.
do the 6th.
So no more 29th?
No, May 6th.
Okay, so
May
May 6th, at 5, right, still?
Yeah.
Okay.
So say that again, Ron, we're adjourning to when?
The 6th of May.
May 6th.
And that's when we'll do the introduction, and then we do the advertisement. The advertisement won't come out till the next week.
Yep.
Right.
And it'll give us.
But it's 2
10
weeks
days.
more after that to the next
Yeah.
meeting,
So that advertisement will be in the paper on the 13th of May.
right?
At
For
5?
the 27th.
And then we have 14 days to the 27th
Right,
Okay, so we're gonna do the public hearing at the next meeting,
No,
at the regular meeting.
at the regular meeting?
yes.
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
and that'll set the bill, that'll be for the bills that go out July 1st for the second quarter,
Yep.
okay? So there's no harm, no foul, in other words, that, the rate wasn't gonna change until this quarter that we're in right now anyway, so not a big deal, right?
Yeah, but technically the rate changed for this quarter that we're in.
Yeah, we already changed it, right?
No,
We're-
I'm talking about,
We haven't billed anybody,
no, that goes out in July.
right?
So
We also haven't lost the opportunity to bill anyone either.
Okay, so what, yeah.
We're gonna
yeah,
correct our mistake before the billing goes out.
Right.
Yeah,
And we're gonna make it right, and they're not gonna be upset when their bill is less
Right,
instead of more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's okay.
So
exactly.
in this particular case, it won't
Oh, no,
hurt
you're fine, you're
Yeah.
fine.
to make the change.
I'll send it to you
Yeah.
anyway, so you can look at it, just to be sure.
Okay, so at the end of this meeting, we're gonna adjourn to the 6th
Yep,
at 5 o'clock,
At 5.
okay?
yes.
Okay. So that gets us by the first 5 items. That gets us to number 6. And that is, that's for Sandy and Mike to, if they have anything to say, they've been involved in these ordinance meetings that go on every week for hours. Do you guys have any, how's your progress, I guess?
Did you talk to the meeting that they didn't want us in? Remember you were, who was it that you had a?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't talked to the legal department yet. Have you heard anything from him? Because you're waiting for submission of the questions.
I'm sorry, oh, yeah,
Comptroller,
I have not, written him any written questions yet. I've
Yeah.
been pretty backed up, I'm sorry.
have you done any questions yet?
No.
So really, we need to come up with our questions. You guys are at those ordinance meetings. We need to come up with our questions, and we need to get those questions to Mr. Sly for that conference call.
Right now, I'll email him in advance, and then he'll know what I'm asking.
That all we have for that as far as the ordinance is concerned? You guys have anything else? Okay. Certified document resolution, Bob, you're gonna read that?
Resolution number 1 of April 22nd, 2020, authorizing the town supervisor to act as certifying officer of the town for the purposes of finalizing local laws. Whereas the town board is contemplating the adoption of local laws which would eliminate the elective positions of Alexandria Town Clerk and Alexandria Highway Superintendent and replace them with appointed positions for Alexandria Town Clerk and Alexandria Highway Superintendent. And whereas each of the proposed local laws is subject to public hearing upon published notice and further subject to mandatory referendum pursuant to section 23(2)(e) of the New York Municipal Home Rule Law. And whereas publication of the proposed local laws and if approved by the electors upon vote at the November 3, 2020 election, the filing of the local laws with the New York Secretary of State will be required. And each of those acts requires the certification of a town officer, if other than the town clerk, as to their authenticity and completion of required procedures. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Alexandria, New York, that for purposes of certifications of the local laws and or publication of the local laws and the public hearings on those local laws, the town board authorizes and approves Town Supervisor Brent H. Sweet to act as the certifying officer of the town.
Okay.
Looking for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second it.
second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Do we need
Does that need to be roll call vote?
Yeah, we need a roll call.
Roll call vote.
Okay,
Supervisor Brent Sweet,
yes.
Deputy Supervisor Ron Thompson,
Yes?
Board Member John Stein,
Yes.
Board Member Mike Fayette,
Yes.
Board Member Sandra Caputo.
Motion passed. Okay, progress on the county tax situation, or county doing the taxes. I think I've been forwarding you guys a bunch of emails back and forth in the last 4 days between the county treasurer, the county administrator, and I guess that's it. And we don't have final figures on it yet, and we're still working on it. That's kind of where we're at.
What I gathered, there are a number of towns that have second and third payments.
It sounds like, according to them, most of the towns have the county collect the second and third payments.
But none at all do all three?
We don't know that. I don't know that yet. I didn't have that question answered.
Okay.
Do you know, Jesse? If any of them do all of them?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
You know that, well, I think Shookie's told us that three, so other ones, a lot of them do the second and third payment.
Right, but it just seems like there was a conversation at some point that somebody said that the county was already doing it for someone.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen with the correspondence with the email, it looks like that may not be the case.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. So that's kind of where we're at there. They were only talking about those emails. They said pretty much postage. And the lady, the administrator there, Sarah Baldwin, hasn't given me a final answer on a final cost.
Well, off the top of her head, it was a rather substantial cost.
Well, that was for doing the whole thing. I'm talking
Right.
about for 2 and 3.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seemed,
I think the issue is, on the first payment, we have a town tax collector who's obligated to be in the town offices to collect taxes. And that collects the first quarter or payment in full, so when he wants to make payment in full, of course.
Right.
And that's why the county's only collecting the second and third.
Yeah.
Because we're required by law to have somebody in the town offices as tax collector so many days a week during the month of January.
okay.
So if they did all three, they would have to have somebody here.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense.
It makes no
Yeah.
sense. And right now, those duties belong to the town clerk.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. The next item, number 9, is you guys had all the papers last time on the Butterfield docks about the foaming and the painting, and we approved the foaming. We didn't approve the epoxy painting of the docks. So that's an expense of $638.22 for all the materials in the town barn. The employees are gonna do the actual labor over there. So we need to approve the $638.22. Take a motion to approve that. Motion by Mike.
Second?
Second by Ron. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Just to do this formally, I know I've written people and, as far as department heads and employees, due to the situation that we're in, any purchases over $100 are gonna require, I wasn't sure how everybody wanted to word this, board approval. The deal with board approval is when they buy something for $100, that means you have to have 3 members of the board to have board approval.
I don't have a problem with supervisor making that
No, I
decision,
don't
that's what I
either.
thought it was gonna
The only
be.
thing I would question is.
I would like to have those requests put to me on paper though,
Yes.
so I got a record of it.
We're gonna have
Because when
like
they
a
call me
time.
and ask me and I forget it, and you guys ask, well, how come they did this? And I'm gonna say, I don't remember.
No,
So-
most of these, all of them have email, so they can send you an
Yeah,
email, wouldn't be
yeah.
that big deal. We just need it, are we gonna do this for like the rest of the year, another 1 month? How long are we planning on doing this?
I think it's till further notice.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just,
Yep, just like to
Clarify that.
specify that I need the request in writing. I think everybody has my email address. If they don't, it's on our website. So they can, do that request by email to me for anything over $100. I know we got a request from Jay today,
Right.
and that was in writing for a new device that's broken, that's a $1,200 expenditure.
yep, I can't remember exactly what it is, but you're right, it looks like around $1,200.
Yeah.
Yep,
So if you could just send me that email or get Jay to resend that if he's listening to me tomorrow. But that's a very important, thing that he has to have for testing.
Yep.
So that obviously won't be any question on that, so. Do we need a motion to do that $100 deal? Probably should to make it right.
well, I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to.
$100 and up have to be,
this like the
submitted to
resolution?
the supervisor in writing and approved by a supervisor
Okay.
until further notice.
Second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I sent you the environmental design and research contract. I don't know that I have that right here in front of me. Did anybody take a look at it? It's for the grant, the GLRI grant, which is the milfoil grant. The contract and all the fees are reimbursable through the grant, no expense to the town. It was $25, for $25,000, it had 3 sections to it that they're doing. Let me see.
is this kind of the same stuff they've been doing for the
Yep.
last couple of years?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Did anybody look at the email that I sent them that had that contract?
I think I did look at it.
Can you get it, can anybody get it on their phone so you can just read it?
Do you remember when you sent it?
You got it there, Ron? No.
I
I think I had it in that paper. I think I've got a paper copy in my office.
Remember about when you sent it?
Yeah, I don't remember.
You got it? Let me look at my,
Quicker to get the paper copy.
I don't see anything in it.
Okay. April 7, you make mention of reading this agreement.
Thank you.
That's the only two I have. Somebody read that?
Can you read it? Supervisor Sweet, we are pleased to provide the scope of additional services for project coordination for the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative award to the town of Alexandria for the integrated management of the Eurasian milfoil. This project is expected to be completed by its end date of September 30th, 2020. This letter will serve as an addendum to the original contract that was signed with the town in March 1st, 2018. As we've discussed with you, given the cancellation of last year's treatment due to the flooding, as we are completing the permits, project coordination, we are expecting this year's budget for project coordination to fall short of the amount needed to coordinate our final year of milfoil treatment, as well as coordinating the other tasks related to implementing the remainder of the grant obligations, in parentheses, final reporting, permitting requirements, etc. Therefore, we are requesting $25,000 for the completion of the following tasks. So they're requesting $25,000 from us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For the completion of the following tasks needed to complete the necessary remaining project coordination services. One, coordination of the herbicide permit through the completion, coordination meetings with the project team, map production, completion of the EC permits, production of notification signs / letters, nets. They worked out to be $9,200. The number two thing is completion of final reporting requirements through the completion, through completion, final DEC report, final EPA report, and they estimate that to be $9,600. And then miscellaneous, registering data onto IMAP invasives, coordination related to harvester purchase, and grant closeout, and they estimate that to be $6,200. We expect this requested budget for 2020 grant administration will require us to reallocate some of the existing remaining grant funds. It may be necessary to allocate the total budget in a slightly different manner among these three subtasks than is shown above to meet the needs of those subtasks. Fortunately, however, we do expect there to be remaining funds to cover these expenses due to primarily to savings incurred by the harvester compared to the budget initially developed for the grant application. We have informed the EPA over this reallocation of remaining budget. Over the field season, we will work between the town and the EPA to guarantee the most effective and appropriate use of the remaining funds. So it sounds like they have leftover grant money to cover this $25,000.
We haven't, the grant has got until September is when it expires, and I think Nicole, who now is listening, had worked on the budget with the environmental research people the other day, and there's about $170,000 left in grant money. And this works the same way as all these deals. We spend the money, we got to do it first, and then we get reimbursed.
Well, my major question is just $25,000. That will be taken care of in the grant.
That's it. That's left in the budget.
Okay.
We had a conference call today for this grant for probably 30 minutes, and that was all discussed because we have to buy the boat, which is the harvester boat, which is $110,000. This grant is $25,000, and we have a buffer. We have some money left over, so we're going to see if the state will allow us to put that money towards something. There's talk about buying a second boat, or else there's talk about buying more herbicide for the treatment. So there's been no decisions on that.
Okay.
That $25,000 is in the grant budget. So we need a motion, if everybody's in favor of this, to give me permission to sign this document.
So I would make that motion as long as it's all covered by the grant.
Yeah. Motion by Mike, need a second?
I'll second it.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Discussion on budget concerns to what we had our work session on yesterday. And Sandy and I met with Mike and Bob Calhoun, the union rep, this morning. Sandy's created a piece of paper here that I think everybody has a copy of for what was talked about this morning to do. You wanna explain where you're at, Sandy, with the,
Well, sorry, Dad, I keep moving, but tell me if I get too close. Mike brought up the fact that there was two parts of the, CHIPS money for state aid that was not in the budget for 2020. When we went back and looked at the budget for 2019, the funds had been paid to us, and it was a $36,000 for Pave New York, and it was a $30,000 for Extreme Winters. So his CHIPS money for last year actually totaled $224,000, almost 225. He's saying that he expects to get that Pave New York and Extreme Winters too. There's questions as to whether or not, but he expects from the people he's talked to that CHIPS money will probably be down 20%, but he doesn't think that he will lose all of it, is what he's saying. Which means that there's actually 66,000, and I'm just gonna use round numbers here, in CHIPS money that would actually be income to us this year that we're not anticipating. So if we use that 224 or 225,000 and take 20% off as possible loss for this year, because that's what they're telling him, that, you know, if they lose CHIPS money, it would be up to 20,000. That's 20%. That's what he's hoping. That would be a loss of 45,000. So if we add the 66 in and 44 out for CHIPS money, he thinks he can actually add 21,000 to it. And from what we had taken from sales tax revenue, the 25% out from the highway DA and DB, it would be a total of 222,000. And if we took out what he expects to gain from CHIPS of 21,000, he believes he only needs to reduce the highway department by 201,000. So in doing that, he proposes that in the highway DA fund, line 1 under machinery and contractual, he can take 60,000 out of there. Under the highway DB fund, line 1, he would like to furlough 2 personnel for 4 months. He really wants them back by the 1st of September to help get the trucks ready for winter. That would have a savings of 35,000. Line 2, contractual road maintenance, he had 50,000 there. He intends to delay projects. If you remember his sheet from a few months ago of all the road projects that he had listed, numbers 3 and 4. Number 3 was the different roads in Redwood that he plans on doing, and number 4 was number 6 road. He plans on putting them on delay or postponement. And then under line 4, road construction improvements, that left 56,000. And that's where he planned on coming, how he was going to cut his budget to account for the 25% revenue loss in sales tax.
a couple variables here. Today I called the gentleman from the DOT that is in charge of the CHIPS money, and asked him some questions. And one of the things that he said to me is that, and he's going to put this in writing to me tomorrow, he said that the 2 additional deals, which is the Pave New York and the Extreme Winter funds, which are 36,000 and 30,000, those were 5-year contracts, and that 5 years expired on April 1st. So in order for that to be renewed, it has to go through the New York State Legislature and be an act of the legislature to renew that. I think normally every year, if we look back on our records, we'll see that that's been renewed and that's happened every year. I don't know, are we in a year this year that we should worry about that not happening? I know that Mike got the answer today, or was told us that there was a 20% max on that. I haven't heard that there was a 20% max. You all saw the deal that I forwarded you from the Association of Towns. I don't know if we should go with 20%, or if people think we should look into this more, or tell us what you want to do. Okay.
I guess the first question I've got is the paved New York and the extreme winters. So that is not an existing program anymore?
No, well, that program expired. It's expired before. It's a 5-year program.
So it was renewed like 5 years ago, or was it renewed in?
I don't know the answer to that. I assume it was. I think that we've looked, and we asked Mike about this, and we talked to Nicole about this, and I think that money's been there every year. I know what you're saying about, you want to know, 6 years ago, it must have expired.
Right, but I'm just saying, if because of what the situation we're in, something that is expired is easier for them just not to approve it again than to cut. They're actually cutting, but they're not physically cutting. They're just not approving it.
Yep.
That sounds kind of stupid, but it's kind of an easy way for them to save some money.
Well, it's like that AIM fund, they just didn't renew it.
Right.
Disappeared.
So they cut it, but they didn't really cut it, they just didn't renew
It
it.
disappeared.
Right, gives them kind of cover to,
I think with the AIM funding, that basically what happened is they terminated the program.
By not renewing
by
it.
not renewing it.
By probably-
Kind of like a sunset
Right,
clause.
yep.
It just, you don't do anything and it's the same as killing it.
Yep. Any other discussion on it?
This line 1 machinery contractual, we talk about this kind of stuff every time we look at the budget and stuff like that. When you see this machinery contractual, that isn't buying machinery, what is machinery contractual? What is that comprise?
I think we asked Nicole that, and that's basically the
That's the part.
repair, all the stuff they buy for repairs and.
So we could get away with not buying $60,000 worth of parts.
To me, it sounds like that is a line item that happens whether you like it or not.
That's
If
what
it's
I'm afraid
repairs
of.
and stuff,
That's what I'm afraid of.
and it's not under your control. That's my concern.
Here's the other thing, so you guys all have financial statements. If you go to the financial statement, you can see how much we spent in that line item last year. And I'm not sure if I'm remembering this right, but there was, I thought it might have been 76,000, unless I have that mixed up with one or the other.
So is that so that's a good thing, is that a legitimate thing to think we could?
Machinery contractual and DA is what we're looking at, right? And I believe that's the one that we spent 21,000 so far this year. DA 51304.3.4.
Last year, 64,523.
Spent?
Yep.
Yeah. How much was budgeted?
Page 5.
Doesn't that show?
It just shows the P&L.
Budget.
It would show it over here, though.
Yep. Is that the 100 and
Budgeted at 120.
120?
Yep.
And we spent 64.
Yep.
So that's why he's saying take 60,000 out of it. Okay.
Yep.
More questions?
So, okay, so that's, the contractual there, so that's 60. And then the rest,
Well, now,
highway, TV, what's that?
which kind of makes, this is a little twist that you're gonna go along with. Why would we budget such a high number even though we spent such a half that? Why would we do that?
I think we look back and that's been 120.
It's been higher than that. It was 118 the year before, 131, 166 in 2016.
Budgeted?
No, actual expenditures.
Yeah.
So 16, we actually spent 166, then it went to 131, then it went to 118, and then it went to 64. So it's dramatic. Last year was an aberration. So the 120 is a good number historically, just not last year.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Yeah, so, well, and the other one is just.
Which also means that if we have historical numbers this year, we're gonna need the whole 120.
I know, and that part is well, but the other is, we've done budget transfers to take care of the shortfalls. And so that's the other thing, so in all likelihood, that additional money got used to cover another shortfall somewhere else. So if we don't do this, that cushion doesn't exist anymore to cover another shortfall.
Well, and Mike knows that.
Okay, well,
I know what you mean.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it was transferred.
Right.
Yeah.
Because obviously in previous years you got one thing.
But maybe it wasn't transferred because that particular budget, which is DA, right?
Yeah.
That has a fund balance.
Right, but
So maybe it wasn't spent, but went to fund balance.
Yeah, but I don't think that the fund balance went up $60,000.
What's that?
I don't think the fund balance went up $60,000.
The fund balance is 400,000.
Right, but we don't know how it was the year before.
We don't know what.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure. Anyway.
I mean, we gotta look at everything.
I mean, we'd have to do.
I don't wanna do something, solve one problem and create another.
Nicole says that parts and repair items are all contractual, which is what we think.
It's not like the road maintenance stuff, that's pretty easy, just don't do it. But the repairing a vehicle, you have a whole lot of control over.
Well, we discussed that today, and one of the things we talked about is that if he's gonna take that money out of there and we have something that breaks, that we need to, the question there is, do we need to repair it or do we not, depending on what piece of equipment it is that breaks? So that's gonna have to be a call. If that's an essential piece of equipment that we need to have, then we have to repair it. If it's not, in this case of this year, you put it aside and you don't repair it this year.
And what would that be? Every single dump truck is.
They got a lot of pieces, they got 40 pieces of equipment over there, so.
Every single dump truck and the loader are essential. What's left?
What's that?
What's left?
There's 45 pieces of equipment on that list in my office that are over there, from chippers to,
Okay, but I'm okay, how often do we spend thousands of dollars to fix a chipper?
hopefully not.
Okay, so that's my point. That money is to make sure the dump trucks work well because we need them to plow the snow.
More discussion?
My question is the worksheet that I see here includes 11 pay periods. If we got the one that says May, it's got 34/12/80. Everybody got the same sheet?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 11 pay periods. And it comes to 21,933 per man, which includes the FICA and the retirement contribution that won't have to be paid. I guess my question is, that leads me to believe they were coming back like the 1st of October. This is saying the 1st of September, so I'm just trying to see where that number comes in.
We just took that total number for 5 months, divided it by 5, multiplied it times 4, and got 4 months.
Well,
But because they're not equal,
I guess what I think what's being said here is instead of 11 pay periods, going to 9 pay periods, that they would be furloughed. Just talking about not having September. I just want to get very specific on this is all.
Yep. Yes, you're going to 9 pay periods. I guess if you take that total number, Ronnie, and you divide it by the 11, and then you multiply it by 9.
Right. I don't remember what I did.
So I get 15,000.
I don't remember what I did to get that. I think I went from her, 2 men at 40, 2 men would be 43,866, but that was through September. And I think I backed September's out of there, possibly.
So if you go with the 9 pay periods instead of 11, comes as, with the retirement and FICA, comes to $17,945.36. So call it $18,000 per man. And so 2 would be 36,000, and you had 35, so difference of $900. So I guess the question is, we're in a pay period right now, or we're in a,
They got paid today, that pay period ended Friday.
right, but they're working,
Yep,
okay. And how does our work week end here?
ends on Friday.
Ends on Friday. So in 2 more days, they'll have worked another week.
1 week of a 2-week pay period, yep.
Right. So that's the 24th. So April 24th is the end of the pay period, or pay week that we're in right now. When we were talking about this, what were we talking about taking effect this week? In other words, that was going to be the end of this week. I'm just going to count out 9 pay periods.
Well, I-
9 weeks.
In other words,
I
9 weeks.
think, I think that would be an executive board, would it or would it not be under personnel,
I guess, well, if we approve it tonight, when does it go into effect?
whenever we make it?
Right,
So do we want it to be at the end of the pay period or at the end of the week?
well, put it this way, the sooner it starts, the sooner it gets over with. I'm just thinking, and as an idea, the stimulus money that's out there is gonna end the 3rd week in July. So if it starts right now, there will be access to more of that. So I'm thinking sooner is better for the workers involved. So in other words, if this week, if we decide to do this, this week would be the last week that the furloughed workers would work. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so with that in mind, so the 24th would be, you're saying our week ends on a Friday then, right, Brent?
Yes.
Okay, it goes Saturday to Friday. Okay, so we've got the 1st of May would be the first week that they would not have worked. So you've got 5 weeks in May, 4 weeks in June, that's 9. 5 in July is 14. 4 in August is 18. That would be it. So the 28th of August is a Friday, and that would be the end of the furlough period. So the 29th is the beginning of a work week, August 29th. which goes back to what you said, Sandy, the 1st of September or whatever. 1st of September, would be that Tuesday in that pay week. So is that what we're talking about?
That's what he's
Proposing.
requesting, yes,
Okay.
that's what his proposal is.
Right, okay. So 4/24/20 to 8/28/20, okay, and that's 18 weeks. Okay. And that would be about somewhere between $35,000 and $36,000. So the next question I've got is,
I get $18,518 per employee.
okay, well, I got, I got 15,357.60 for the wages.
Yeah, and then you gotta add the 14 and the 17.
Right, but they're gonna be less because the gross is less.
Right.
So the FICA goes to 1174 and the retirement goes to 1412.
Okay.
So that's where the 17,945 comes from.
Yep.
Call it 18. Just, actually, I'm rounding up, so it's pretty close to that number Sandy's got.
Yeah.
So the next question is line 2, contractual road maintenance. So how's that gonna be achieved?
He plans on postponing, the roads in Redwood and the number 6 road.
But I guess my question is, what is that 50,000 composed of? In other words, is it stone, is it pipes, is it rental, in our books, does anybody have that 2020 list of projects that he planned on doing? Thought I had that right here.
You're asking about the contractual road maintenance?
No, I'm just wondering how, in other words,
Right, okay.
the money in, road maintenance personnel,
The 100,000.
that's very defined. It's 18 weeks, 2 men, everything, then the other is the machinery contractual, and from what I understand, that's to fix things that break. And last year, we're taking it back to last year's number, which is historically very low compared to prior years, which is a little scary.
Sounds like basically the abnormality.
Right. But at least, so I understand that. What I'm trying to understand is the 50,000, in other words,
Yeah.
how,
What exactly is that?
right, and how's it gonna be achieved? I see it says delay projects number 3 and 4, but what are the savings by delaying projects number 3 and number 4?
The sheets that he gave us, which, that's where I got the number 3 and 4 off of, and I'm not seeing it right here, but I have it at home.
So there's be like
he didn't-
$50,000 worth of paving? Is that
He
what that is?
didn't, that was one thing he did not provide to us at the beginning of the year, is he just had projects that he wanted to do, but he didn't have, and I think you had asked him for, yeah, thank you, this is what he had given us, and it was just road work, projects 1 through, 5, but he didn't have value
Oh,
put
that's right, yeah,
towards it.
you wanted a price breakdown.
Yeah,
rather than
and
just
we
a
never
list.
received that, but,
Yep.
for example, project number 3 was replace culverts and ditch on 4th Street, resurface 4th Street, Lake Street, and section of 2nd Street. Project 4 was begin replacing culverts and ditching along the shoulder work on number 6 road, then the following year, reprofile and resurface it.
Well, there's another way we could do this then, because we're in DB right now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, and the actual line item that we're on in DB
it's 2,
is which one?
1 and 2, well, the budget number, I don't know.
I've got 51,101.41, personal services, maintenance of roads. Okay, that's budgeted at 154,139.
Yep.
And so we're talking about taking 50 out of that. So my question is, what is personal services, maintenance of the roads? It sounds like salaries.
Yeah.
So I guess,
So if we're
Wages
taking,
for what, the work that he does on roads.
but it's salary,
well, I don't know, that's what I'm asking, it's,
Personal services gotta be payroll.
well, then that won't work, it has to be stuff.
That's
well,
what-
no, it can be either or, I mean,
Well,
I guess,
if you take salary out, that's people.
right, but that's where I'm trying to see where, okay, that's the line one, personal services, road maintenance, okay, yeah. So you're talking about 35 out of there. I'm going back, I'm going,
35 is coming out of line one.
okay, so
And then
30,
50 is coming out of line two,
okay, so 35 out of there,
which is the payroll.
and then 4.4, okay.
4.4, he said 50,000 out of.
Okay, so instead of saying how that's gonna be achieved, I would ask him to supply us with how he's gonna spend the 50 that's left. To get very specific, because you'd already asked for that, and you haven't received it, right?
Well, you received that paper that Sandy has,
But no money.
with no numbers on it.
Right, so what I'm saying is, instead of getting a detail on what's gonna be cut, have a detail on how you're gonna spend what's left.
No, I agree with you, but that's what, I'm saying that's $50,000 worth of salary, that means $50,000 worth of people.
No, 35 is coming out of salary.
Okay, so $35,000 worth of salary, that means $35,000 worth of people's time.
Right,
It's not $35,000 worth of stone.
No,
no, well, there's two line items, personal services.
So for our savings, it's gotta be stuff, not hours.
Well, that's the second line, the second line, first out line is hours,
the two
second line
men,
is stuff.
the two men
Are
take
coming-
care of the 35, right?
Right,
Well, that's not exactly what's going on here, though, is it?
I think if you look at this sheet right here,
I know, but I'm just saying, what does he talk about furloughing?
the highway DB line one,
No, just, I'm just saying, the
that number right there
right,
comes out of 51,101.41, personal services. It's budgeted at 154,139.
Okay.
So that's gonna get dropped to 119,139.
so this, I'm saying this 50 down here, that's just,
The next line down,
is more hours? Or
no,
more?
it's
that's-
stuff, as you
Okay,
say, yeah,
That's road work.
Okay, that's what I'm driving at,
right.
okay.
And what I'm saying is, instead of asking how that's gonna be cut, I'm saying he should give us a list of how the 50,000 remaining is gonna be spent.
Okay,
And then that can be monitored, right?
okay, no,
And you asked for that anyway, right?
I asked for a list of what his road projects and what he was gonna do, and,
And you got a list, but
But
you
I don't
didn't
have the
get
prices.
detailed pricing.
yeah.
So that's my suggestion, is that we get the list, and the list had to be modified, because he's got less manpower, so he's gonna do less. And so the balance of what he is going to do, detail it out so it comes to $50,000. That's my suggestion.
no, that makes sense.
Okay. So then the next one is road improvements, 56,317. What line does that come out of?
Whatever your 169, 269 is. Which
Yeah, right there. So 56.
That's the
317.
chip stuff, right?
No, this is on the expense side.
That's what I'm looking at.
This says permanent improvements, road construction. It's 51,122.4.2. Budgeted at 169,269.
Yep, but that's CHIPS Permanent Improvement Highway.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're talking about reducing that by 56,317.
But that's already, on top of that, that's a 20%.
Well, these numbers, because on this is the expense side.
Yep.
So on the income side, we've taken 20% off the CHIPS number,
25% off,
or 25%, well,
no,
it all,
20 on the chips. and
But-
25 on the
But we
second.
also added two things back in that we're not sure we're gonna get,
Yeah,
That's what I'm,
which is a whole nother issue. That's on the income side, though. I'm concentrating on the expense
I
side right
know,
now.
but you can't spend it if you don't have it.
It's another, I'm not saying it isn't valid, just not for the discussion right this minute is all.
Okay.
I'm just trying to I just wanna try to put this sheet
But,
on
no, I
here.
understand, but I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm saying you can't make savings on money that doesn't exist.
Right, I think we need to do that after, we just do this one line item, just bear with me with this.
Okay.
And then we can come back to that. So, okay, so that's the 169, 269. We're gonna take 56, 317 out of that. Okay, and that's permanent improvements, and again, I would ask that the 113, or just under 113 that remains there be detailed out. So that would be the same request as the previous one. The previous one was to get detail on the 50,000. This would be, to get detail on the 112, whatever, 900.
what's your line item number, Ron, for that 169 figure?
It's on page 12,
Can you just tell me the line item?
DB 51122.4.2.
Okay.
Now, I just picked that because you said it was the line that said 169.
Yeah, that's permanent improvements, road construction improvements.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm getting some text messages from Nicole is trying to help us along through here, and that's
Okay.
what she said.
yep, okay. So all I'm saying is that number is gonna be reduced, and my suggestion would be they supply you with a detailed breakout.
What's going away and what is gonna be left.
Well, you know, you don't even care
Project.
you don't care what's going away.
Yeah.
I mean,
What he's gonna do.
What he's gonna do with what he's got left, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying we don't care what's going away.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's something that, it's unfortunate and it's gonna get postponed to another year. It's not a positive thing, but
Yep.
this whole thing's not positive. Okay, so I see where this sheet comes from. And so 95, 902, so that that is the new number, taking into account the two line items of income that we did not have.
Right.
Right. Which is, where'd that go? Oh, right there. Yeah, so that gets it up to the 201, right, okay. Which leads us back to the question of, we put two line items back in that aren't in the state budget at the present time.
It's a little bit worse than that even. Like the 20% comes off the big number, not 20% off the smaller number.
It did, they added it back in and then took it off of the bigger number. No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
in other words, we were taking 25% off of the CHIPS number, which at the time was 158,628. My understanding is what they did is they added the other two in, which was basically a little over $66,000 worth of income.
Yeah, and then-
Came to the 224, then took 20% of that off.
okay, and that's where you're starting from, not this 169.
The 169 was a budgeted number.
I know, but budgeted,
Yeah, but it was an expense. We're talking income now.
okay, but you can't spend what you don't have.
I know, but
The 169 doesn't have paved New York and have extreme winter in
I'm
it.
not saying,
and it had more than what CHIPS was in. I mean,
but we budgeted what we anticipated on receiving, and that's what we propose to spend. If we're not receiving this money, we can't propose to spend money we don't have.
So the letter that Mike gave us today that he got last summer from CHIP, from the DOT, was dated July 12th. So we don't find out about extreme winter and paved New York till July. I believe, I think that's the way that worked, right?
Yeah.
Because we had the records from last year and we looked in the records and we received that money on December 17th. But that is tied to when we submitted our bills, and you have to submit canceled checks that show that you've already paid for that.
right.
So that's tied to that.
You talk about the CHIPS?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a reimbursement program, yeah.
Right, but when did you find out how much your CHIPS was gonna be?
July 12th.
So,
July 12th, halfway through your fiscal year.
Isn't that what that was? Yes.
Okay. But did you have any idea, I mean, the state budget is what, April 1st?
Yep.
Okay, so from April 1st to July, it seems like you would have some kind of idea, it was either in the state budget or not.
I think what the idea that they have is that they get it every year.
Yes.
No, I remember last year we were kind of worried, and then it turned out to be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but it seems like on April 1st, or, I mean, they've been doing a better job of adopting on time, because they used to never adopt it on time, but I would think, and they already adopted a state budget this year?
Yes.
Okay, so it would seem as though in the state budget somewhere, that is addressed.
That's a good point.
I mean, but that doesn't mean to say that what's going on hasn't blown the state budget completely out of the
The
water.
problem is they adopted the state budget on, I think, April 3rd, okay?
Yeah,
2 days late. And they've been working on the state budget, obviously, like they do for quite a while, because I read every article I could see about this process, right? And this COVID-19 hit in March, to New York State, okay? And rather than address COVID-19 in the state budget, boom, they just pushed the state budget through.
business as usual.
Business as usual.
Okay,
So, that tells you that there's,
so none of the COVID problems were addressed, the financial problems were not addressed in there.
because it
Which
would have.
means they've all got to be
Because
addressed.
already in the budget that was adopted on April 3rd, I believe there was between a $10 and $15 billion deficit.
Without the COVID-19
I
problem?
believe so,
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
that's what I read as well. And they're
Even though since COVID-19, I've heard that we're dealing with 10 to 15, so maybe whether they just haven't figured out what COVID-19 projected cost is.
the
Yeah.
state
And
is,
the other thing is that, as we know, every state is
they're very
hoping that we're gonna
optimistic.
get reimbursed from the federal government for that.
Yeah, they're very hopeful
Yeah.
that some portion of that.
So it brings us back to our initial, which is, how does everybody feel the odds of getting paved in New York in extreme winters? I mean, extreme winters seems like it's self-explanatory. After the winter we just went through, are they gonna be, I mean, what's the reasoning behind extreme winters? Is it for what it seems?
I
think Mike would have a better idea on
I'm
that.
not really sure. Oh, no, I need to go back to the CHIPS thing. Even though that's in the budget and everything, like Brent's saying, in the last number of years, they passed it on time. In spite of that, you would think, okay, boom, that number is set. It's not until like May or June even that you really know what the number is gonna be.
Even though the budget's been adopted?
Yes, it's kind of nebulous until, you don't know until you know. That's what's really bizarre.
Okay. So it boils down to right now, we've got $201,000 worth of proposed budget cuts. And we've got a $66,000 question mark in my mind.
I mean, one of the ways we can
On the
handle this.
income side.
One of the ways we can handle this, and we could look at it, is depending on when we find out whether we're gonna get those $66,000 question marks, those two. If we find out that we're not gonna get one or two of those, then I think you automatically gotta do more layoffs.
Right, the only problem is we've lost more ability. Our hands are, every week that goes by, our hands get tied a little
And
tighter.
if it waits till
Because-
July 12th,
Right, because we've got, at some point in time, it's plowing season, and that's being left completely alone.
yeah,
So we've got between now and then to be able to react.
That's it.
and another thing that keeping the employees in mind here is that federal unemployment deal is only through the end of July, right?
Yes,
The enhanced
yes,
portion of it.
yep,
So,
And
you gotta lay people off, and when you find out on July 12th that you're not gonna get that money, and you gotta lay people off in the end of July, they're not gonna get
no, I
the $600.
I don't know if you know the answer to this. Didn't they just pass like the third thing, like what is like a
Wasn't for any of this.
it didn't include any more money in there?
It include the PPE, or PPP, it included the hospitals, and it included, what was the third one?
So it didn't include any more of this unemployment?
No.
This additional unemployment?
No.
Okay.
That's been in the headlines, what that included. It included three things.
Right, but it includes, I'm sure there's lots of other little things that it doesn't.
I mean, the big question with that unemployment deal, which is tied to how long this thing lasts here, is are they gonna extend the unemployment $600? They're gonna lengthen that, which is what you're getting at, right?
That's what I'm asking, specifically asking that.
And I haven't seen anything about that. Have you, Ron?
No, I haven't either. I think their thought process is that by the third week in July, things are gonna be back to normal,
That,
which I think is a pipe dream.
yeah.
Well, we could go on this for hours.
Looks like 13 weeks of that extended. There's about 13 weeks of that left, the 600.
Left.
Okay, yeah. And the people involved here, the crazy way they do you make more money staying at home than you do working, unfortunately. And in this case, $173 more at home. And,
I don't think that Mike is having a problem, and I'm sure this is probably true with some other businesses. Some employees are okay with getting laid off. And the reason they're okay with getting laid off is because of those numbers you're talking about, Ron.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at here is, if you do the math, okay, by the end of 13 weeks, when the 600 ends, you will have received $2,249 more gross, okay? Now your normal unemployment kicks in, which is gonna be 1/2 of your average wage. So then the unemployment goes from $1,026 down to $426. Now you're short $426 each week because it's normal unemployment, okay? If you look at that with that number, okay, that's a little bit over 5 weeks. That takes you to when we're talking about bringing everybody back. It's just crazy, it almost comes out to the exact same. So in other words, if somebody were to be laid off, okay, starting the way we were talking and going through the 28th of August, I think it was, or something like that, okay, they are going to be ahead of the game for like 7 or 13 weeks, and then behind the game for 5 weeks, and at the end of those 18 weeks when they come back to work, they're almost dead even. So no harm, no foul, so to speak.
Yep.
And the reason I'm saying that is, we could go to one more person, and financially that person would not be hurt because of the way the rules are now, okay? But the town would be able to save another chunk towards this $66,000 that we feel is very questionable. It would go halfway there anyway.
One more thought
Yeah.
here. Is sales tax is due on June, it's through the last day of May, it's due on June 20th.
I talked to Bob Hageman this morning, at a TI council meeting, and remote, or on Zoom, okay, and he's the county administrator, Bob Hageman. And I asked him, because sales tax, for everyone that pays monthly, okay, we all paid our sales tax 2 days ago. And granted, that's not everybody, but if about the same number of people a year ago paid it, my point is the state should be getting a feel right now as to how the sales tax is going for
On the monthly payers.
on the month of March, because 20th of April is come and gone, so everybody's electronically filed. So if it's electronic, they should have it just like that, and they should have a feel, because I asked him as far as where the county was coming with their numbers and stuff, and they were talking. They don't. The other big kicker we've got here is gasoline prices have plummeted, which is good for everybody in their wallet, but sales tax wise, it's real bad for the county.
It's a big number too.
Yeah.
So did he have any kind of feel?
No, because he said the best number will be the one that will come a month from now, because the quarter will be over with. But again, that you're getting information farther into the period, you need the information today. And he said they were talking about it, yesterday, and I'm sure they're talking about it all the time, but it seems like the state of New York should be able to provide some guidance
Based on.
tomorrow or the next day, based on what was filed on the 20th. I don't see how they can't
Right.
have that information.
At least get a sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
The only thing is, I think things are getting worse as opposed to better right now.
No doubt.
So whatever the month of March had,
I'm just saying.
April's gonna be
Like
worse.
they're saying, like the same time period last year.
Yes.
And this time, you get in,
They have that
it'll
information.
be, you kind of almost do a graph and you kind of can,
Because you have to have a certain sales tax amount to have to file monthly, otherwise you file quarterly. So the larger ones are all filing monthly, which means a good portion of your sales tax, they've got that information. And they aren't estimates, they're actual numbers.
There's actually 3 guidelines, 3 limits on sales tax. There's monthly, taxable sales up to a certain dollar amount, I'm not sure what that is, I used to know. There's quarterly, taxable sales up to a
And then
certain amount.
annually.
And there's annually.
Annually says real small number.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is the ones that do monthly are fairly
Yeah,
large.
they're big.
Yeah, and the state has that number.
Should be a barometer, yeah.
So anyway, getting back to where I was headed with this whole thing, because we've got does everybody agree that there's a question mark over this extreme winters and paved New York money, whether we're gonna get it or not?
I think there's more than a question mark over that.
Because it doesn't even exist.
I think there's a question mark over 25% drop in sales tax.
Yeah, okay.
anything coming from the state, based on the state's financial condition, should be questioned.
Yeah. Well, I guess where I'm leaning towards right now is going to 3 people instead of 2.
Shouldn't we prepare for the worst? Case scenario? I mean, we're the ones gonna pick up the tab if it comes there.
Yeah. I mean, the sooner we do a layoff, the sooner those people can avail themselves of the $600. The longer we wait, the less benefit we get from the layoff, and the less benefit the furloughed person gets from being furloughed.
I was a little further.
With that. Well, I think it should be 3, not 2, because of the discussion, and I wouldn't argue against 4.
I mean, I agree with being on the safer side.
Never foolish. And the other two, from the police point of view, the longer we wait, they're gonna get less, like
Yes.
the scenario you
Yes.
made, so that makes no sense either.
The only way they stay even
So-
is to have Friday be their last day of work
Understand.
until August 28th.
Picture this scenario, we discover in a month's time, we need to do 1 or 2 more people.
Right,
They're gonna get less money.
yes, they will go backwards,
Right.
yes.
That-
Right now, they won't go backwards.
Right. I'm just saying, that's another thing, another way to look at it.
Actually, they'll still be ahead of the game, just a little bit.
Okay, but I'm saying,
Their 18-week gross with that 600 will be higher than what their 18-week gross would be if they're still working, if they get done on Friday.
right. But if we discover that.
Every week you go, take $600 off of that.
Well, I'm just saying, if we have to do, say we do 2, and then like a month now, we have to do 2 other people,
Right,
they're not gonna get the full benefit of all that,
correct,
time to work for $600.
right, yep. So I'm fine with 3, and I would listen to 4. I'd like to hear what everybody else has got to say.
I understand you're figuring to say 3. I said I'd rather be on the safe side. I think that in the very near future, we might have to look and see if we need to go further. I know you're exactly right with saying the longer we wait, the more it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But getting numbers out of the state for the sales tax that was just collected for the last 30 days is gonna be if we can get that, that'll tell us something. And I wrote a letter to New York State DOT, to the CHIPS people today, and asked them some questions about the extreme weather and the two deals we're talking about. I'm not saying that I'm gonna get an answer, I'm not saying I'm gonna get an answer that's gonna answer our issue with that, but I'm just trying to find out more about that.
But it would seem, anyway, the odds of the state of New York implementing these two programs when they're in the kind of cash problem they're in, doesn't seem like there's much of a chance of that happening.
Not only that, but this is one of the things I said in the letter to the guy. And I said to another DOT guy that I talked to today, is that we just went through one of the easiest winters we've ever had.
Right.
And they're gonna give us extreme winter?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I can see them saying this, approaching at kind of a weird angle. They're looking around and seeing highway departments, just people in general being laid off. You don't need all that extra money to fix roads because you ain't gonna have anybody around. I could see them doing that as well, looking at it from that perspective.
Yep. Okay, so what do you wanna do? Where's everybody at? Well, you wanna start a motion?
Right, can I ask a question? We use the terms interchangeably layoff and furlough,
Yeah,
so what do you consider?
I'm talking furlough.
So
That's what I meant.
Furlough only keep their health insurance.
Furlough keeps their health insurance.
We pay our share. Is there any difference in the amount of unemployment that's paid between somebody on furlough and on layoff?
I don't know the answer to that.
Does a person on furlough get the unemployment you're talking about, or must they be laid off?
Well, they are laid off. My understanding, there's two things with the furlough. One is the intent is to rehire.
The intent is that you're still an employee. You can call them back anytime.
Well, I think when you furlough, you don't have to pay hospitalization insurance. I don't think there's any obligation. In other words, the term furlough, I don't believe has any obligation of continued payments. What it does is an intent. It confers an intent to rehire.
My understanding is a furlough, they keep their health insurance. The employer's paying a portion of the employer continues to pay it.
Okay.
Okay?
And it also, in that paperwork that Brent gave us earlier on the furloughs, it also says that they will continue to accrue sick time, vacation time, and that part I'm not crazy with. It's like, oh my goodness, they're gonna get all this time off all summer, and then they're gonna continue to accrue. So I personally would be more towards the layoff end of it, rather than I'm not liking that word furlough after I read that description and information that you gave us.
I guess I don't realize what, the furlough.
I can tell you that the city is looking at layoffs, not furloughs.
Yeah, after I read because I asked that question this morning about the furloughs, and after, I read this when I came in here earlier, I was like, ooh, furlough definitely entitles them to a lot of things, and it's like, holy smokes.
Where, is that something I've got over here?
Yeah.
Well, another thing to consider, we lay them off, we don't pay the insurance and stuff like that. All these employees have HSA accounts.
Have what?
All these employees have HSA accounts.
Got it?
They can use the HSA account to pay for the insurance. That's exactly what Trevor Bogart is doing right now.
Yes, the town employees, or the highway employees do not have an HSA, they have only an HRA.
Okay, what can you
Teamsters
use?
plan.
What can you use that for?
Has to be approved by Teamsters.
Okay,
So I can't answer that.
I think that's a question worth asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with continuing to pay their insurance, our portion of their insurance. They need to pay their portion, but but I'm dead against having them continue to accrue sick time, because now, how much sick time / vacation time do they get in a year? And then we're gonna go into the fall when we really need them, and we're gonna go into the winter months, and they're gonna have to take their leave time?
Well, in the sick time one, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, they don't accrue sick time per pay period, they get like all their sick time up front. in
January
January.
or something like that. I brought the contracts, we have to look
Yeah,
at it.
they already have it, so it's not like they're gonna continue to approve it, they already have it. Which is kind of nutty as well.
I mean, the deal about their accrued benefits, whether it's in furlough or whether it's in, it says here that a person who's laid off officially becomes inactive. If they are inactive, that means they do not have the ability to accrue benefits.
Right,
Correct?
right.
That's why I like the layoff term.
The other thing that it says, Ronnie, in your reading this, I trying to find out where I saw it, is I got the impression that under furlough, the employer has the ability to pay or not to pay health insurance, or to let benefits accrue or not accrue. And it's up to the employer.
I thought it was a little more clear cut.
And I'll just tell you, my understanding, the last few days working with the city is that they consider furlough that continue the health insurance. Maybe that's what the city's decided, but they're only going to layoffs. And I don't know if that federal program reimburses for furlough people or, for the unemployment, or whether they must be laid off.
Now you kind of reminded me, I think I read somewhere on that, or maybe it came from you, if you're furloughed, you can't collect unemployment. If you're laid off, you can collect unemployment.
No, it says you can.
Right now, you can get it both.
Both ways?
Yeah, right now.
An employee on furlough is still considered an active worker within the company and thus will be able to return to the job at the end of the furlough period. While this will depend on individual company policies, there are some instances where the employee can continue to accrue certain benefits, such as paid vacation, pensions, retirement accounts, and so on. So the way I read that is according to the company policy.
Right, so you're gonna also make.
We don't have that in our
You're
policy.
also gonna make pension contributions, so that was added in for your furloughed employees, right?
They wouldn't have any pension contribution because they wouldn't have any money this year.
Pay.
Well, it's only based on what they're actually paid, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
They're tied to their percentage of gross.
Right. Yeah, so this doesn't say that they automatically get accrued
No.
vacation.
It's up to the policy, and
Right.
we probably don't have that in our policy.
Well, it would be according to the contract, right?
Well, who would anticipate this?
Right.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I'm sitting here trying to wrap my mind around is, it would be nice to see some work get done, especially because the price of fuel and all this stuff is down, which is part of the cost of them doing a lot of the work that they do. Would it be better if right now at the beginning of the season, when we're not doing a whole bunch, when the grass isn't growing a whole bunch, if we just lay them all off for an 8-week period and then bring everybody back on in July, provided, things have reopened up and we're good to go, because they'd all be entitled to the extra money. That way there'd be Mike, this is one I wish you'd be here to talk to us. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Sorry, I'm talking to the ghost. But I'm just wondering what would benefit him for the highway department. If we lay off 3, that could accomplish our goal, but how much does it hurt him by only having 5 guys? Because there's going to be certain projects and things that have to be completed, so if you take 1 or 2 people out of the equation, that leaves them 3 people to get stuff done with, and how hard is it to, and I don't know, because I don't know anything about this stuff. Because these are the questions that I'm like, if you're laying new culverts, and we said that he's already purchased them, because he was planning for these jobs, and he purchased them back in February, so he's got materials there, is it easier? I'm assuming that it would be much easier to do projects like that with 6 or 7 guys than with 3. That's my only
No,
thought.
I see what you mean.
Well, like we were talking earlier, and like the winter months, pretty straightforward, you need truck drivers to plow snow. In the summer, I mean, let's just say, and the town roads are actually, and generally in very good condition. Now, what's left that has to get done? Well, the grass keeps growing. And when is the enhanced?
It's like the 24th of July.
24th of July. I'm just saying, how many, we have 2 mowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep 2 guys on to mow, and let everybody else go to take advantage of the full $600, and then come back then.
I don't think I'd let them I mean, unless we get our sales tax and we find out that it is worse than we anticipated.
But see what I'm saying, it isn't so far into the year, that still gives.
Exactly, and that's more what at this point, that's more what I'm thinking is, and we may get to June and the sales tax maybe has not been hurt anywhere near what we say, and we can say, guys, come back, come back way sooner.
But you need numbers to make that make sense.
And we just don't have the.
Here's an idea, what we're talking about are each person being laid off for 9 pay periods, which would be 18 weeks, okay? So that's between this Saturday to that Friday in August, okay? We're talking, say we're discussing 3 people, that's 54 weeks of people laid off. So if you start talking more people for a shorter period of time, we can figure that out.
Right.
And just say, so if you want to get a bigger number than 54,
Okay.
and then you could divide it by 4 people, or
But I'm just
5
saying,
people,
if we use the parameter of the enhanced over
that's
unemployment.
13 weeks.
Okay, and drive towards that number, how many people would, it would be nice if he was here, we can ask him that question, but how much money are we talking about? And then you could do the math backwards and find out how many people
Right.
that would be.
Well, four people, it would be 52 weeks. So there's 4 people at 13 weeks between now and when the enhanced ends,
Right.
which is around the 24th of July, is 13 weeks.
And how much money are we talking?
Well, you're talking 52, a little bit less than if you laid 3 people off for the whole 18. That's what I'm saying. If you equate it into that.
Right.
Right, which that's the way I'm kind of thinking and leaning.
So then, like 4 for the shorter period of time.
Or
And
you
you're looking after your employees better that way by tying it into that rather than going after the enhanced unemployment runs out.
It protects us as well, not so much protects us, it gives us still a large portion of the summer to do stuff. As opposed to waiting so far into it.
We gotta have a certain amount, I mean, we gotta keep the roadsides mowed,
Gotta have what?
roadsides gotta get mowed,
Yeah.
and we gotta be looking, there might be an emergency, a big washout, we gotta have somebody, but we gotta figure out what we need for a basic manpower there.
Right.
We don't wanna get caught with a mess.
You got 9 right now? You got 9 right now
Yeah.
altogether?
Yeah.
As you said, they'll get their $600 in their regular, they're not gonna get hurt.
Right.
It's gonna do us good, but we wanna make sure we leave enough there in case something comes up. We don't wanna gotcha moment.
Yeah. So you could do a 2-stage. You could go a lot more for a shorter period of time, and then a couple that go all the way to the
End of the enhanced.
end of the, yeah. So you've got, does the 9 include Mike? We're not
No.
talking him anyway on this, so.
No.
So there's 9 hourly workers.
Yeah, 9 MEOs.
MEOs, 9, okay.
So we should give Mike's input in this, I would think.
Well, I think we need to, what we need to do is give him a number, in my mind. We need to give him a number, and then he can do exactly what we're talking about. Do a lot of them for a short period of time, and a couple that will go longer. But if we talk 3 people, I mean, is everybody here comfortable with at least 3 people through the 28th of August? Put it this way, at a minimum. I mean,
4.
I mean, if we hear in July that we are getting this extra CHIPS money and the extreme, and that is
bring them back
there,
sooner.
you know what I mean, then no, I'd rather have them back, but right now, because there is an unknown, I would say yes, at least 3 until we have some commitment. But like I say, I am more inclined to say, let's let the majority go. If there's 9 guys there plus Mike, Mike's gotta stay. Keep 2 guys there, cause you got 2 mowers. And let 7 of them go, but let 7 of them go for only, 5 or 6 weeks or 4 weeks.
I mean, I'd say if you're gonna go with a big number like you're saying, I think you gotta leave 3 guys there. And the reason I'm saying 3 guys is because Jimmy Johnson is the mechanic, and he needs to be in the garage, and he needs to be working on everything he can. Jimmy Johnson is not a guy that I don't believe that we're gonna put out there in a mower.
No, but that makes sense.
So we have 2 guys in a mower, and we have Jimmy Johnson. The only other thing
We got
here
the
is,
docks to work on.
and maybe I shouldn't be mentioning names, I'm not sure, but the only other thing here is the work that Jimmy Johnson does in the garage, he probably can't do it all by himself. Probably needs another, at some time, I'm saying, at some times.
Well, you're not mowing every second.
Right, exactly. So maybe one of those 2 mower guys could help Jimmy, or both of them some days when they're not mowing.
Understand, if you're laying off, there are rules for layoffs in the civil service law that the junior people go first.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So if you're thinking of somebody who, if you're thinking names and you're thinking you have to have.
Well, the one name I was thinking about was number 1 on the list.
So he would stay.
As far as seniority.
Okay, all I was trying to say was that if it becomes an issue for you, then you gotta think more about, instead of layoffs, doing your furlough. Okay? So that's the only reason I'm saying that.
Yeah. And the thing is, well, here's a thought. If we did 4 people for the period of time we were looking at, we're talking 72 weeks. 18 weeks times 4 people, 72. If we laid 6 people off, okay, at 12 weeks, we get that same 72, and they come back 6 weeks earlier. So we get the equivalent of laying 4 people off by laying 6 off for a shorter period of time.
Your 18 weeks, what does that 18 weeks end?
Starts this Saturday.
Yeah.
And ends on the 28th of August.
That was the original.
So they gotta deal 4 weeks of not enhanced.
Well, under this scenario with 6 for a shorter period of time, it's all under the enhanced. Because they would come, the enhanced is for the last 5 weeks of the 18. This would be bringing them back 6 weeks before. So that, and then you could also, here's another thing, you could also, because you do a layoff, they can use the extra money they get from the 600 to pay for the health insurance that the town would not be on a layoff. Is that what you're saying, Bob?
Right.
Right.
And just the other thing about a layoff, and I'm not pushing anything here, I just wanna make sure you talk it through, okay? Is that if things get really bad and you've done, not a layoff, but you've done a furlough, you're bringing people back when you don't want to.
Right.
Okay?
Initially, I have a problem with not paying their health insurance and expecting it to come out of the enhanced or their unemployment. And the reason I have a problem, because who do they have their health insurance through?
Teamsters.
Teamsters.
Right.
It's expensive.
They negotiated that.
It's expensive.
So you got 3 months.
So that's gonna be out of their wage. That's gonna be out of their unemployment check.
Or, like you're saying, the other thing you're looking at, you're saying we pay for it, so that's less savings for the town.
Yep.
But we predicated.
Everything we've
Those 18
looking
weeks did not include savings on health insurance.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's with the town paying the health insurance.
Yes,
The town share.
right,
They're paying 12%.
right.
And one of the things that I know that couple other areas have done, okay, is they did it a similar way as what we're talking, and the employee's portion of the health insurance, which in our case is 12%, they're letting the employee pay it after this is all over time out of their pay.
But this has to be all within this fiscal year, or otherwise we don't really save anything.
Right, but the thing is.
In other words, I'm just throwing a curveball at you with that, because it's just,
But I'm just throwing one right back at you. If we wanna save the money in this fiscal year, has to happen within this
oh,
fiscal year.
it'd have to happen in this fiscal year, but I think,
Well, no,
Sandy, in
I
our discussion today, I believe they were willing to pay the 12%, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but this is a kind of a new thing
they
you're
just
saying.
wanted to make sure we paid our share.
Right, but think about this, okay? With the enhanced, okay, because if we lay 6 off for 12 weeks, it's all gonna be under the enhanced. They're gonna have $173 a week more gross than what they had before. 173 times, let's say 4 weeks, cause the months are a little longer than that, that's $692. Does $692 cover the 12% contribution towards their health insurance?
In those bills that's in front of us, there's a health insurance bill. What's 12% of the bill? Paul, are you listening?
Depends on whether you're in a family plan or whatever.
Well, I think.
For 2019, the monthly is $1,400.
Right, and 12% of that is only gonna be about $158, $160. You said, how much was it?
This is 2019 rates, I don't have the 2020 rates. The monthlies for a family plan is $1,434.
$1,434 times 12% is $172. They're making $173 per week more than if they were with us, so they get, basically use one of their weeks to pay their 12% with.
And if they're a two-person plan, it's 12/7, so that goes down quite a bit.
There's your figures, there's your
Right, yeah, 2082, okay.
2%.
Well, just go on the high,
And most of them.
the highest is 2082.
And most of them are 2%.
Yeah.
Okay, $250,
There's one single,
That's the 12%,
yeah,
that's per month.
yes. And they're making $173 a week more
Than
while
their-
they're laid off.
Than their regular pay.
Yes. Well, $690, so of the $690, $250 goes
even
towards the
better
total.
than that, is it taxable?
Yeah, it is all taxable.
Unemployment is taxable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, as you said, 6 for 12 weeks, and then we still have the ability to bring them back even sooner. But they may choose not to wanna come back.
In 12 weeks, we'll know what's going on, right?
Yeah, we'll know what's going on. That's 3 months from
It's a
now.
win-win situation. They're making more money,
Yeah,
and we get a chance to see what's gonna happen,
yep.
and we're saving some money.
So I think what we need to do is give Mike a number and suggest to him that he can achieve it that way. So what we're looking at is 6 men at, we're using this number here, which I know there's a variety of rates there.
This is for the full
For
enhanced
12 weeks.
unemployment.
For 12 weeks. Basically, it would be equivalent of 72.
But I mean, it's for the full, taking advantage of the full.
There's 13 weeks left of the 600, they'd be 12 of this 13. Yeah.
Okay.
I.
Why don't we do the whole
hopefully we have it
13?
back by the 1st of July.
We could always do something, well, I mean, if things look worse, I mean,
I'm just saying.
so I guess, so we've got, we're looking at 72 weeks. In other words, 6 people, 12 works, 72 weeks at 40 hours a week at, we're using 21.33 an hour, 21.33, $61,430. Plus 61,430 plus FICA.
Bob, if we don't do the official layoff or furlough tonight, does it have to be done at a meeting?
I was just gonna say, that
What's that?
furlough has to take place by an affirmative vote of the body. Okay, it has to be, I got a 4th Department case out of Rochester that talks about that. As opposed to a layoff. Okay, so if you want a furlough, it'll be your decision, that's fine. But, and you think you're gonna start at this Friday's payday, the decision has to be made by the body by Friday.
I mean, say, if worse comes to worse, we adjourn till tomorrow.
I think we can do it tonight. Okay, so that, well, it makes
Do
sense.
you recommend furlough or layoff?
I'm agnostic. My job's to lay it out for you. The only benefit, well, the two benefits is not paying health insurance, and I know you're very sensitive to that, and I get it. The labor lawyer in me says they're the ones who wanted that insurance, so that's just the labor lawyer in me, okay? But aside from that, the one thing about a layoff is that if you get down to August and things are really bad, you don't have to bring it back.
Right. Is no such thing as extending a furlough?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think you have to give
This is really uncharted waters
Right.
for municipal clients. There are a lot of people who think that you can't furlough. I haven't reached that conclusion based on the research I've done.
Right.
I thought the furlough, you had to give a date or some kind of parameter.
Right, you tell them when you're planning on coming back.
Right.
And that's our best guess, which is all, I mean, in these uncertain times, we gotta, I mean, we didn't think we were gonna be doing this
No, I realize.
2 months ago.
I'm just saying, it's,
What happens if you furlough them and you come up and you put a date? I haven't read in these papers yet that you have to have a date for the furlough,
Yes.
a return date.
Right, and the problem is you get to that point and you can't do it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
then what?
my guess is you lay them off.
That's what I'm saying, which gives the town the most flexibility,
Well-
in case we,
No, he's
What's the
saying,
fair-
then you lay them off when that date comes.
But what's the fairest to the employees? Because I've heard that around the table too,
Right.
which is important. To lead somebody on and say, we think you're gonna have a job back come such and such a date, and so they don't go looking for other work, not that there's gonna be a lot of work to look for, but, you know, these guys need to work. And they're truck drivers, and there are a lot of jobs for truck drivers out there right now. And you tell them you're gonna come back for a job, and you can't guarantee, as you sit here today, you're gonna give it back to them, which way are you being fair? I just throw that into the mix for your decision, not mine, but, you know, there are a lot of things to think about.
I think if we did 6 at 12 weeks on a furlough with them contributing 12% towards their health insurance.
Mike's calling. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Sandy. No, I'm not watching. I've been up to the barn most of the afternoon and evening. What can I help you with?
Oh, it'd be a whole lot easier to explain if you were listening. Okay, and I'm the one that was the monster here, so you can blame me. We're going back and forth and we're going through your budget, in the proposal, and I had sent you a copy and hopefully I had gotten it right. And because we're so uncertain about,
The extreme winters in paved New
the
York.
extreme and the paved New York,
Not working?
we're really kinda leaning towards laying off 3 guys.
6 for 12 weeks.
But
Okay.
I can't, but then I threw it the wrench, the monkey or the wrench into this thing, and I said, you know what? Would it be better, because we're looking at the extra 600 and it's, you know, the guys actually will make more money. But I said, what about Mike? I said, you know, if he has 3 or 4 guys laid off and he's got 2 guys that have to be working on roads, that doesn't leave him very much to do any projects with. So my thought was, what if we lay 6 guys off, but only for a much shorter period of time, so that by, you know, July, the middle of July, you can have all your guys back. You know what I mean? And then you have everybody to do projects, and, you know, they're getting the extra money. It's not going to hurt them financially, because they're actually gonna be getting, you know, their unemployment plus the extra 600, because that runs out the end of July.
I can't put those docks back in the water by Memorial Day with 2 guys.
Like I said, docks.
Hold on.
We got docks, yeah, getting water. But how long, I mean, it should,
So for, you're saying if you had to choose you'd rather go 3 guys for the whole summer as opposed to, you know, a bunch of them all at once.
I feel uncomfortable about taking care of my roads and my mowing and stuff like that with 2 guys working at the town barn.
Actually, we're gonna leave 3. We're gonna leave 3 guys there, cause we knew you had, what was the name?
Well, you'd be 1 of 3.
Jimmy, cause we knew you'd need to keep Jimmy there for maintenance and that stuff, and then, so we were gonna leave you with 3 and take 6, but for a shorter period of time. But if you'd rather just take 3 for the whole summer, until September, we can do that too.
I need to process it, and I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow. Please call me, and I can make a decision at that time.
Okay, cause we need,
You need to try to make a decision tonight, you're saying?
we can,
We can give him we'll give him a number that he can work with, and he can decide how to do it. We'll give him a number
okay,
tonight, and then he can decide how he wants to do it, how to achieve it.
okay.
So is the number that you and I have talked about not favorable, or?
You mean the 2 workers?
Yes.
Um,
But we were right there on the money that they had originally asked for.
Yeah, but we're still, because the state budget was passed and that, the paved New York and the extreme, winters, we're not sure that it's, Brent had talked to someone earlier today, and that was a 5-year contract that ended April 30th. So we're
First.
just, April 1st.
Yeah.
And so we're afraid that that isn't in the new budget. And so we're all a little bit nervous that maybe that 66,000 isn't going to be there. I mean, if it is there, which you got your letter last year in July, if it is there, then great, we can bring them back even sooner. We're trying to worst case and get ahead of it sooner than later. And I was just thinking, you know, it'd be nice if you had a full staff in July and August to do more projects, because, you know, fuel and everything is cheaper. But, I mean, that's, you know, that's your call.
Yeah, I don't know at this time. That's not going on.
Okay, well, think about it tonight and give us a call in the morning.
I will talk to you in the morning, Sandy.
Okay, thanks. All right, bye. Okay, so he's leaning towards 3 guys for the whole summer.
I'm now leaning more towards 4 guys for 18 weeks to still achieve that 72. And then he would be able to achieve that by doing 6 guys for 12 or 4 guys for the whole 18.
Okay.
And that's gonna
So
basically
we're looking for at a number of 72 weeks?
Yeah, well, basically what's gonna do, it's gonna double that number that you had. You had 35,000.
70.
That's gonna take it up
Yeah.
to 70.
Okay.
So that's gonna cover 35. What we've got is we've got this huge question mark on $66,000 worth of income.
And a huge question mark on 25% drop in sales tax.
Right. And so at that 66,000, we figured on losing 20% of that anyway. So that would really be another 12, 13, so 53. I guess what I'm getting at is by going from 35 to 70, we're still not covering all, if we lose all of the paved New York and the extreme winters, we're still not covering all of that shortfall by going from 2 to, or going to 4 guys for the whole 18 weeks.
Okay.
But the 4 guys don't get hurt.
Was one of his biggest concerns on the 6 guys deal, was it the Butterfield docks?
That's what he said. He said there's no way he can have the Butterfield docks back in if he doesn't have the guys.
Yeah.
So,
Huh?
so,
Well, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
so,
Well,
I'm serious.
I know, but it's not a good thing for the people on Butterfield Lake, but at the same time, this is not a good thing for everybody in the whole town.
Well-
But eventually, they would get in. I mean, the Memorial Day weekend is kind of an artificial date. It's typically the start of the boating
I know,
season,
but-
and this year,
That's what I'm saying, so,
What do they gotta do, those docks? We're contracted to foaming it, right?
right,
We gotta
They gotta
sandblast
Sandblast them and paint them.
foam them,
We're not foaming them, are we?
and have them painted and weld the holes up on them where we.
All the more reason to do the larger number over the shorter period of time, because that'll get them back in the water. In what's the worst case?
Well, we're starting saying immediately, if they didn't do the docks until they got back, that wouldn't work at all. But I mean, we're talking four guys, okay? That leaves them with 5.
Okay. I would like, at the end of the day, I would like, you know, if that's the case, that means he's gonna have them in the water in when?
Maybe middle of June, maybe.
I mean,
I don't see that
I mean, a
happen.
lot of that's gonna depend on, I mean, I did see today, I'm assuming the docks, the floaty things are moved inside.
they're out back where they're sandblasting.
Okay, they put them out back, so I said they're not out front anymore, they've been moved. So, they're working on them, but a lot of it, the finishing touches is going to depend on when the guy for foaming can show up and get his job done.
Scheduled right now for next Monday.
The foaming, next Monday.
This Monday coming up? Okay.
Well, they're gonna put foam in it before they sandblast it?
I don't think so. They're
No,
sandblasting
so
them.
they're-
I believe they're sandblasting them right now.
Okay.
And welding them so the foam doesn't.
Okay.
No, they're not welding them now, because they just cut the holes in them. They have to have holes cut in them for him to foam.
Wait,
Right, but you gotta have the holes, the ones that need to be welded up, you gotta be, when the foam comes out the holes.
I think the hole is a certain size hole that the foam
Understand, yeah.
device attaches
But
to.
it sounded like there was welding repairs to the corrosion of the, no?
No, the
Okay.
welding is to weld up the holes that they have to
So-
cut in.
so-
So that's not a big deal.
So, what you've been talking about, this would start on, Saturday would be the first day that they would be laid off, right?
Yes.
So what you're saying, all the sandblasting is gonna be done by Friday, because that's when the foaming is gonna be done.
Foaming's gonna happen on Monday.
Actually, I don't know that the foaming, that the sandblasting has to be, I don't know that.
No, it makes no sense to sandblast, it'd be.
The foam was on the inside, right? Sandblast was on the outside, right?
Right. And it's gonna generate some heat.
Yeah. What's going, sandblasting is?
Sandblasting, yeah.
So, it sounds like sandblasting will be all done this week.
I don't know. Either way, I mean, I guess the other thing is, do we let the dock project dictate? And I don't think we should.
When is the
No.
sandblasting being done? Hope to start filling them with foam on Monday or Tuesday. Does the sandblasting have to be done before that or after? Oh, you're gonna do it after? Okay. Okay, but my question was, I thought the sandblasting was gonna have to be done before the foaming. It doesn't have to be. No. You're gonna have them foamed on Monday or Tuesday. If the chemical comes in, and you're going to sandblast the paint after that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Put them in the water. Yep. Okay. Okay, I was thinking a long way here. I thought the sandblasting had to be done first, and I knew you had told me that they were scheduled to call them on Monday, so. Okay, we're just trying to get this timeline figured out, okay? Thanks, Mike. Yep.
I think if you make it plain to them, they're not gonna get hurt financially. It'll work a lot better on that.
In his defense, we're throwing a lot out there at one, kind of throwing him a little bit of curveball.
I
to Get
understand.
comfortable with it.
Right.
And,
And he's looking after his men, I understand that.
right, yeah.
But
There's
they're not gonna get hurt
another
financially.
thought here. There's 5 floating docks, and
A couple of them in right away. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
You got something there. You should be able to at least get some of them in. I don't know how they're.
I mean, yeah, they're all gonna be foamed on Monday or Tuesday. And I don't know if that's a 2-day process or a 4-day process, but they probably will all be foamed by the end of next week, let's say,
We're
okay?
gonna foam them outside.
They foam them outside?
That's what I'm asking, because isn't one of the things that the guy said in that proposal and stuff that he wrote, that it has to be a certain temperature outside in order for it to cure properly? We got rain and some low temperatures still for the early part of next week.
Yeah.
So unless those things are inside where they can cure properly,
And they have to wait a little while.
it's not a good scenario.
Well, he had talked about-
Sandblast in the meantime.
He had talked about moving them inside, so maybe that's why he was moving them inside for that, because I saw them all gone yesterday, and I stopped, talked to them, and they were all out back getting ready for sandblasting, so that means he's sandblasting them before he's pulling them. That's why I figured that had to be done,
But now, is that a boat ramp over there?
yes.
Okay, so if you, a boat ramp, you need to have a dock. Is there no dock there at all?
The docks are not near the boat ramp.
Yeah, they're
Oh, they're not.
100 yards away.
But the DEC has a boat ramp as well.
Well, I'm just worried, well, I guess I was getting
They don't have
at,
they don't have
the
dock.
boat ramp's still gonna be functional without the dock.
It's a state-owned boat ramp, it's
The
not
boat
ours.
ramp is way away from the docks.
Okay.
That's
So
owned by the
what's
state.
Yeah, that's the state, they got a little one beside the dock.
So what's the main purpose of because the one in Goose Bay, people, they don't leave it there overnight, they just come in, pick people up and go. Is that what this is for also?
Yeah, this is basically for the people that live on Butterfield Lake that use the town dock.
Okay.
To come and go.
Tie up
Right.
in their car.
So it would seem that by Memorial Day weekend, some of the dock could be in. So is it like an L shape or is it a T or?
T.
T? So you got the first part of the T.
Which is fairly long.
Did they take it apart in sections?
Yes.
I'm assuming it bolts together.
Yes.
So it's gonna go the same way going back in?
No question.
Okay.
Just like what you watch them do in the village when they put the floaters in.
Okay, so there'd be something.
No.
Huh?
You kidding me? There's no.
Huh?
Okay. Well, put it this way,
They won't have any portion of it by the water.
They what?
They won't have any portion of it.
why?
Because I know that.
Okay, whatever. So anyway, what I'd like to do is Mike gave us a number and he modified it with new information. I think we need to give him, and then we got new information about his new information, which is we're talking about extreme winters and paved New York. So with that information, we're coming back to him and saying that we need personnel line, in other words, specifically, man hours need to be reduced by 4 employees, 18 weeks, 40 hours a week. Which will basically be Saturday through the 28th of August. And then he can decide how to achieve that number. You can do a lot of it up front.
Per week, which is, what'd you say, 90?
4 guys, 18 weeks,
Yeah,
40 hours.
40 hours a week.
18 weeks goes to the end of August, or something?
Goes to the 28th of August.
Another thing to consider, Brandon, if nobody's working, the mechanics not gonna have a lot of work to do. Stuff will be getting broke down. That's a concern.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. That's what I'm comfortable with is 4 men, 18 weeks, 40-hour weeks, and that's what we as a town board are going to reduce is personal services budget by. And then the Social Security and the retirement will automatically reduce.
Yeah.
In addition to that, because that comes to $61,430, we'll get the rest of the $71,000 through FICA and retirement. And then the other would be on furlough, and their hospitalization would continue to be paid by the town.
Employer
portion to 88%. That's what I'd like to see, and I think we need to. So if we adopt that tonight, Bob, and then it's up to the highway superintendent to implement that change to his budget, I guess what I'm getting at is, do we have to come back, in order for these furloughs to go into effect, do we have to come back again, or we implement the budget change, and then it's up to the highway superintendent to implement?
I think you have to specifically designate that you are going to furlough 4 people for 18 weeks commencing on the date that you said.
Okay.
I think what I was coming in.
Just gonna double check the dates again, so the 24th is this Friday. So the 25th is a Saturday. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 14, 18, and on the 28th. Okay, so the furlough period will be Saturday, April 25th through August 28th. That's a Saturday and it ends on a Friday. So the first full week back at work would include the 1st of September, which was the date that Mike had talked to you guys about, right?
That gives them enough time to get a dock in.
I said by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold it.
That gives you 5 guys to work on the docks. Put it this way, the dock's gonna be put in sections. So you'd have part of it in for sure.
You're gonna designate the 4 junior people?
Isn't that according to the contract?
Well, the contract doesn't talk about furloughs, so it talks about.
What Mike said yesterday, when he went back and originally talked to them, he is asking for volunteers first.
Okay.
Because he had a couple that volunteered, and then from there, it goes from junior most.
Okay, I spoke with a labor attorney today, and he said people should not volunteer because he argued that they voluntarily went out and they don't get unemployment. So,
Okay.
it's nice that they want to, but I would advise against them doing that.
Did you speak with Brian?
I tried to speak with Brian, I was not able to get through to him.
So who'd you talk to?
I didn't talk to anybody.
I'm not sure who it was.
No, I spoke with a guy that does labor work for police unions today, and he said, I wouldn't let anybody volunteer to do it.
Well, I think as far as being the board that controls the finances, that's a detail that we normally wouldn't get involved in, I wouldn't think.
Well, here's the thing, we have a union contract, okay? If there were layoffs, the junior people would go.
Okay.
If he tries to pick somebody who's not junior, that could be a problem. Okay, we haven't negotiated anything. We can't really change the fact that they're continuing to accrue their vacation and all that because we haven't sat down and negotiated it. That's why when we first spoke with Brian and he asked whether we were talking about layoffs or furloughs, I said we were talking about layoffs. Okay? So, we are not in a position to negotiate with the union now in connection with what benefits are they gonna get. So I think we're stuck with, I hate to use the phrase, I think you're compelled to designate that it'll be the 4 junior people and that they'll continue to receive the other benefits under their union contract. But as far as pay is concerned, they're gonna be on unemployment and you're gonna pay the town's portion of their health insurance.
Right.
And, you know.
What if he chooses to lay 6 off for 12 weeks? Same number of hours, same dollar amount.
I think you can probably leave that option in your motion, in your resolution tonight.
So we could say 4 or 6.
It's either 4 for 18
weeks,
or 6 for 12,
okay. Yep.
With the same terms and conditions, but they have to be the junior people. You can't be picking and choosing who you want.
No.
That may be a problem for them, of course.
Yeah, but maybe the 2 that said they would take it would fall in that category anyways.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Bob, suppose he gets a letter from the union, or he gets a letter from Brian, and those guys sign it, that they agree that he can use the volunteer process first and the other one.
But isn't that
The problem is with unemployment.
Department of Labor?
Oh.
You voluntarily left your job, okay?
Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so,
But maybe the 2 that are volunteering would be part of the 4 anyways, right? So it wouldn't matter.
Yep.
Give
no
them a
idea.
chance.
Yeah, maybe. If that works out, I don't wanna know
It
about it.
might work out. Once in a while you get lucky.
Yeah, we don't wanna know about it. How about that?
only Sandy will go.
And so
Okay,
immediately
so-
forget.
I don't know any of these guys, they're all wonderful.
So, what we could do is have a motion to furlough either 4 workers from the period of April 25th through August 28th, or 6 workers from April 25th through July 17th. Because that's the same as far as to the town.
And say that we're gonna pay the employers 88% of the health insurance, and they're gonna be responsible for their 12%.
Yes.
Yep.
And they need to pay it, as it comes due.
Regular deal.
Yep.
And the most junior people first.
And the most junior people first. Right. That's what I'm proposing.
I second the motion.
Well,
So it,
why don't you phrase in, option 1 is this, option 2 is this, and we're leaving it with the
Well,
highway
we're kinda doing
superintendent.
that with
No,
the
I'm
same,
just saying, but
use
I'm
the
just
word
saying-
or.
No, I just
Said
say
or.
spell it out, and he has an option, you know, he can choose option 1 or option 2, I'm just saying, make the motion.
But the
that
motion did say
clear.
that. Motion said, we are going to furlough either 6 employees from the 25th of April through the 17th of July, or 4 employees, junior employees, 6 most junior employees for that period of time, or 4 of the most junior employees from the 25th of April through the 28th of August. And they will still be responsible for 12% of their hospitalization insurance
To be
to be
paid.
paid,
and no accruals. And no benefit accruals.
can we do that?
We can't do that because we haven't negotiated.
Yeah, so let's leave it alone then. We
I think the
can't,
accruals, like I said before, I think
Furlough's not-
they get all their accruals up front anyway.
which
So
is
you're
kinda
saying we're
crazy.
furloughing them, we're not laying them off, right?
We're furloughing them.
You have the
I think they do,
ability
like the beginning of the year, they get.
According to that
Pay
Yeah,
paper
but
here,
we've got
probably
a
have.
contract involved. They said, according to that, it says, depending on the
They don't get
employer.
my-
company policy, yep.
Right, the company policy, I would think, would be the union
It
contract.
would be. And does that say you can't?
Bob says it doesn't say either, I don't think, does it? He was asking about,
Does the
About-
union contract say they can't accrue benefits, or they have to on a furlough? It doesn't say.
It doesn't address it, so unless we've negotiated it, they get them, and, you know, Mike made a good point, I think all their accruals are on the first of the year anyway.
They get them in the first year anyway, so they already have that.
That was one of our proposals, is that they
The
no
way the
longer
contract
do
is
that,
written,
but
they
get them
get,
as
they get
go.
all their sick time, all their vacation time
Right.
at the January 1st.
Right.
Right, that's right,
instead of
already
getting,
happened.
instead of
Already
getting
done.
1/52nd of it each week.
Right.
right,
It's already happened, so
Okay.
nothing to talk about.
Okay, yep.
fair enough.
So that's,
Good
Okay.
point.
so that's Ronnie's motion. Need a second for that motion?
I second that.
Any more discussion on that motion?
When are we gonna expect a response?
He said tomorrow morning,
Okay, just,
tomorrow.
Well, we're not expecting a response. It's gonna happen.
okay.
I mean, there'll be a choice, response will be the choice of 4 or 6.
So when is?
And it's gonna happen on
when is he
Friday.
gonna let you know?
Well, I would hope he would tell us tomorrow, so we can tell Nicole what to expect. But I mean, what we're doing is we're reducing the budget item tonight. Right? So it goes into effect tonight.
Next pay week, yeah.
My only question, do you want to direct the highway superintendent to advise the supervisor on a report noon tomorrow, which it is?
The end of the pay period, pay week is Friday. The end of their week, because they're on 4/10s, is tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay,
Doesn't change it any, but.
right,
no, that's a good point too.
yeah. I mean, he's gonna wanna talk to you two guys. Have you guys got time in the morning to talk
Yeah,
to
but
him?
what are we gonna be able to change? We've made a
Well, no,
motion.
4 or 6.
All we're gonna hear from him is yes or no, you know, yes or no for 4 or 6.
Right,
Yep.
so do we need to put that in the motion, or?
I think if you're gonna have him make the decision, I think you have to task him with making it.
Okay. So I would add to that, that the, highway superintendent would choose one of those 2 options and inform the town supervisor of his decision by noon April 23rd, which is tomorrow. You okay with amending that, John? You seconded it.
Do we wanna give them more than half a day tomorrow to do it? It's not critical to us if it's the next day.
Well, he needs to let his people know by the end of tomorrow, because tomorrow's the
Oh,
end of the day.
he's gonna have to meet with them like he did yesterday.
I can't imagine not jumping on some of that.
The thing is, waiting till Friday, they're not gonna be at work, so it's sometime tomorrow, you'll have met with them.
End of the day tomorrow.
Okay, there you go.
And this is an open meeting that's being video
Televised.
streamed, so all the workers know right now what we're talking about.
Okay.
Phones are ringing.
Right,
Okay,
okay. So I mean, that's the nature of the beast. You normally would wanna talk about that privately, so they could know first, as opposed to their neighbor knowing first. But because of the fact that we're public dollars, we have to do our decisions in public, and
So by the end of their workday tomorrow.
that's fine with me.
that makes the most sense.
Okay.
So John, you okay with that?
Yeah.
So we amend the motion to, by the end of the workday on the 23rd of April,
Yep.
which is tomorrow.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None.
Okay.
Okay. Phew, how long was that one?
2 hours.
Remember that briefest meeting?
Can we stay on budget for just a minute?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw another wrench in here, because we've been targeting them, but how long, and hopefully our town judge is listening in, how long do we have to keep, we'd be better off doing the same exact thing for the justice clerks. They would make more money, it would help our budget, and I'm even going so far as the assessor. Cause all his assessor duties were due by like April 1st, right? March 1st, April 1st. So, is he actively working right now,
I think he's got
or?
grievance day coming up, right?
But getting back to what you're talking about, and that we talked about before the meeting, court clerks are kind of a unique deal in relationship with the judges. So what we need Brent to do is ask the judges, so that, if we could do this, that's a great idea.
But doesn't the controlling judge, or whatever, the presiding judge down in Syracuse really have, like, we don't really have a say over them, do we?
I mean, the reason they were laid off,
That's a real good idea.
the reason they were laid off with pay is because they got an order from Syracuse that said that they, first of all, had to be laid off, and second of all, we had to pay them, okay? We now know of other judges in the county that have been, not judges, I'm sorry, court clerks, that have been laid off and are collecting unemployment.
I'm just saying, the judges have seemed to have, I don't want to say roadblock, but they're like the thing you gotta go through for these two employees.
And Dave maybe is listening to this because he was the last one and he called, so Dave, feel free to call in. But
I would ask Bob, can we,
You can't lay them off, because we can't lay them off as firing them without the judge's approval. If you furlough them, you can do that, seems to me.
okay,
Without the judges?
no, with,
And that means, well, I would say you can only furlough them for as long as the Fifth Judicial District Judge lets us.
Okay.
right,
Okay?
Well, I mean, I don't want, I mean, I wouldn't wanna put an end date like this. The end date is as soon as they can come back to work. As soon as the court's open, we want them back.
But every,
But I think they'd make more I'm looking at their salaries right now. I think they'd be better off
Right.
if we actually laid them off, and it
Sure
would
would,
help
yeah,
us.
but every.
so we're talking about furloughing the judges and the court clerks?
I don't think you can judge their
I wouldn't
elected
think it
position.
was judges.
Yeah, we can't furlough
I was gonna say, I don't think we
Okay.
can the
But
judges.
just the court clerk.
Every day the court clerks are off is a good day for us. That they're collecting unemployment and no longer on our payroll.
Right.
So that would be, I think, run it by the judges at the minimum and find out if that's possible.
Well, he just said that if we furlough, we don't have to ask them.
Well,
No.
what I was trying to say is,
That's
when we
what I
furlough, they don't have to
I
get
heard
their
that to start
permission.
off with, but he changed it.
Yeah. If if we furlough, they don't have to give their permission. That doesn't mean they shouldn't also check with their bosses up at the 5th Judicial District to make sure that they can do it.
They're already not coming in. I don't see where they would question it at all. They're already not here.
I'm not supposed to comment about judges.
But see what I mean, but the only advantage would be ours.
I don't,
Seems to make sense to me, but you know.
So you looked at the numbers there on unemployment, they make more money than they are for the town?
with that extra 600, absolutely.
Definitely, yeah. Cause anybody that's making less than $30 an hour, like if you were making $30 an hour, 40 hours a week, $1,200, then your normal unemployment would be $600 a week. They're giving us $600, okay? Your max unemployment in New York State right now is $504, and they're not making $30 an hour, so they're going to make more. Because say they were making 15, the 600 is equivalent to $15 an hour by itself. If they're making 15, they're going to get $7.50 an hour in their unemployment because it's 1/2 your average. So you get $22.50 an hour on unemployment, or $15 an hour with a paycheck.
So they make like a third more.
Yeah,
Nice.
50% more.
Okay.
Both of the court clerks, neither one of them are getting insurance. They get a $3,000 stipend.
Stipend. Okay.
Even better.
Yep, it is. I sent him a text message and asked him. I just asked him, I said, would you be comfortable with the clerks being furloughed until court opens back up? They can make more on unemployment and save the town money.
You just text court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only other one that I'm looking on here is the assessor. I think everybody else is essential.
Yeah, I know.
How's the assessor kind of following this? Because he's, even though he's not elected, he's kind of, he's appointed. Is there anything in there? Not like a regular employee.
Was appointed for a term of years, isn't he? Is it 2 years at a shot? Is that what it is? Is it 6 for the assessor? Okay, yeah. He's still an employee.
Can he be laid off?
He's furloughed.
No, is he an officer of this,
Appointed.
Works out to $25.20 at 504. Times 2 is 1008.
I would say he's not a.
At 40 hours, it's $25.20.
Right.
To get max unemployment.
I'm not able to
Yeah.
answer your question.
If you work 40 hours, you got paid $25.20 an hour. You make 1008.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. We can
Well,
look
even
some-
better, you know, because you know personally how this works.
To get max unemployment.
You can't even
Anybody's making less
fire.
than $25 an hour.
Well, the 600 is giving them 15 an hour.
That's correct.
Okay,
We have to have.
so
a
are we gonna postpone this for 2 weeks? Or are we gonna make a motion and just talk to Dave in the morning and,
You got no answer
I
from
mean,
Dave?
I can't, he's a they're reasonable people. It makes sense. They're going to make more money. What's the problem?
There's no downside.
There's no downside to it. We're looking after our employees and ourselves.
Hey, Dave,
Not
Ron
ourselves,
Thompson,
the taxpayers.
how you doing? Okay. Yep. Well, we're, tell you what, how about if we gave you the ability to do that by leaving it up to you? No, I know.
Consent and advice?
Okay, well, if we gave you the ability to do it, that wouldn't be a bad thing. In other words, we're not telling you to do it, we're giving you the ability to do it. Yep. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. He's just concerned that the head judge there,
Yeah,
who said,
Judge Murphy, yeah.
right, that it can be done is all.
Right.
And he doesn't know that tonight, so my suggestion is if we made a motion to allow him to, you know, to allow it to happen, and then he finds out tomorrow then it can happen right away. Cause our pay period ends Friday, and the sooner the better, they'd be furloughed as of Friday, the end of the day Friday.
Until the courts reopen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It'd be their call, they're coming back.
Until Judge Murphy opens
As
the
soon
mouth.
as the courts open up, then they're back.
I mean, we know of 2 towns right now, and there may be more that have laid off their court clerks. And one of them laid them off a while ago.
So that means he's gonna get a yes, either that, or they did it without asking, and then they're gonna.
I'm a firm believer in begging for forgiveness. Sorry.
But I understand with Dave, especially with everything that's gone on
Yeah.
in the last 2 years with our court clerks.
Yeah.
I can certainly understand what Dave's talking
Yeah.
about, yeah. So, you wanna do a motion then?
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we furlough our court clerks until the courts reopen
With the permission of the judges,
with the permission of the
Yeah,
judges.
Advice and consent.
okay.
Motion by Sandy, second by
I'll second that.
Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed.
Okay.
More is better.
I lost my agenda.
I hate when that happens.
You're 25.
You're 23.
I know.
What did you say, 23?
I said you're 25.
I've lost mine too.
Where the heck are we? Okay, we're on 13 budget transfers, they're right here. Oh. They were right there. Oh, they're not right there, I'm
We
sorry.
got one.
Okay.
There's only one,
There's only
Or not.
4 of them.
Okay.
Building equipment and capital outlay, debit $500, contractual expense, credit $500. Town purchase camera system for the meeting room. Workers' comp, $505 debit, New York State retirement, $505 credit. Workers' comp expense was more than what was budgeted. Need a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion by Ron, second. Second by John, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Discussion, motion to have Nicole log and track all town employees. I talked to Mike Tibbles about this today, went over it with him, he told me he had no problem. And what I'm getting at is that Nicole tracks all the accruals, the benefit accruals for all the town employees except for the highway department. And, she doesn't have a problem with doing it for them. And what's nice about it is that she provides a list. Is it once a month she gives them the log of where they're at?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah, I think once a month everybody
Yeah,
gets in their
there's-
paycheck, the accruals that they have.
Did you say except for the highway?
No,
Including.
that's really who we're adding to
Sorry,
this.
including, okay.
Yep. So I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mike, need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ron, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. I think that's really what the next one says too, isn't it?
Same thing?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
John, is there 2 signatures needed there, or just one? I saw 2 purple sheets on it.
There's 2 purple sheets.
They both need signatures, or?
Yes.
Okay, then I missed one.
Purple means you need a signature, yep.
Okay, I missed
Right,
one.
Nicole, does some purple need a signature?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go to the next one, and this is, time in and out on town employee time cards, and a copy of the time cards come to the bookkeeper. I'd like to have a motion, or have discussion on, is everybody okay with the fact that all employees have to write, since we don't have time clocks in the union contract, but they use a time card that they write, when they come in, when they leave, if it's if it's lunch or they leave at any time, and when they come back. And we'd like to have copies of those time cards go to the bookkeeper, and this would be for all town employees, because it's not only the union guys that don't do the time in and time out, it's some of the other employees too.
Everybody should be treated the same.
And I think everybody, we've had discussion about this before, we'd like to know when people come and when they go.
Can we do that if it's silent in the union contract?
I don't see where it's very burdensome.
Okay,
on,
give it a shot, yep.
Okay, so, need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Ron. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. 16, water sewer late fee. I gave you all papers for there's 2 water and sewer late fees that are asking to be waived, and there's 1, property taxes. The first of the late fees is stamped. He requested to have a late fee credited, says she never received the bill, and he always pays on time.
Jimmy, what's changed? How come he didn't get this bill?
How could they not get a bill?
He's implying that he didn't get the bill, that's why he didn't pay it.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking, how come he didn't get a bill?
I mean, this really isn't any different than the one we discussed at the last meeting, in the sense of, if they've always paid on time, as they say here, they know that the bills come every 3 months.
So I'm just saying, did we not mail a bill out to him? Well, then he can, yeah, okay. I mean, but if he moved and didn't give us his forwarding address, that's not our fault, that's his fault, so I'm just asking.
Well, that's a good question, and hopefully Nicole's listening, and we can ask her those 2 questions. Did we not mail a bill out to him, or did he have a change of address, or what do we know? This is what they submitted. I don't imagine they had a change of address, because the last people that had this issue said they had a change of address.
So if nothing's changed, and he always got the bill at that address.
So she said yes, and I guess she said yes to that, she did mail him a bill.
Okay,
Well, he got the second one with a late fee, he just didn't get the first one that created the late fee. But I'm saying, in other words, nothing changed as far as the address, he got the second one, just didn't get the first one.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, everybody else, I mean, got them right?
so I mean, if it got lost in the mail between here and there, it's not our fault. If he gets to his house and the dog eats it, it's not our fault, you know?
I gotta agree with that.
You know?
Otherwise, we're never, I mean, then all you set a precedent that's not a good precedent.
I mean, we always worry about the precedent deal. I made a comment today when we were talking about these, that I almost feel we need to put something on our website, or maybe we send a mailer with our bill at that. We have a lot of requests here because people didn't get their bill. Can we waive their late fee? And since I've been here, we've always handled that the same way. So,
I mean, relatively speaking, we don't get a lot, we don't have a lot.
no,
You know what I mean?
no, I'm saying we run into this, Jesse, you heard it, we run into every other month or so, well, it's tied to the billing period, so.
Yeah, I mean, they say they're always, you know,
It's not
always paid
unusual,
online.
but there's not a lot of them, is what I'm getting
No,
at.
there's
No,
not.
no, I don't mean to make it sound like there's a lot, like there's something goofed up with our
Right.
billing or mailing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But if they say they're always prompt to pay it just seems very odd that all of it, you know, one time it just doesn't appear, so.
well, it sounds like something did happen to the bill,
Sure.
but as Mike said,
Which
it's
they
not
could
our
have
control,
Well, I'm
we
just
mailed
asking,
it.
if we didn't mail them a bill, then
It's on us.
by all means.
I mean, here's what she just said, one of the bills was emailed to his business address.
Well, that's a different
That was
one.
a different one.
That's a different one, that's not this one.
That was Mr. Holmes.
This is stamps.
Okay. Now, she answered me with that. She said, I think that was stamps, but she's wrong.
Right
Oh
here.
my God, she's wrong.
Is it only on just one of the properties? Because Sam's has a couple.
There's a couple.
That's what I don't understand.
Good point.
Because they have a couple,
Real
that
good point.
are sent together. So how can just one not be there?
Well, even better than that, I have 2 pieces of property in the Alexandria Water District. If I get 2 bills, if they came along and I got 1 bill, I'd be like, where's the other bill?
Right.
Separate envelopes or same envelope?
They should come in the same envelope.
Yeah. But say, but.
Either way.
Either way.
One gets paid, right.
Either way,
Right.
because you have multiple ones, and you know you're gonna get that number.
Okay. Okay.
But that's an equally
Yeah.
good way to look at it.
I'd make a motion to deny the request.
Motion by Ron to deny the request. Second. Second by Mike. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the next one is Don Holmes is asking the board to credit the late fee on his water sewer bill because he says he never got the bill. The email went to his business account, not his personal. He says he always pays on time. I guess my question would be if we've been sending other bills to his business account, and they have to tell us, they're the ones who have to tell us, give us the email, that form that was sent out a while back, they put in the email.
He's been receiving emails for years. And that's why I don't understand, unless he contacted and someone didn't put the right email. But as far as I'm concerned, or from when I was doing it, it was the same email that he always received it on.
It sounds like he thinks they've got maybe his spam account or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's not enough.
We would only send it to the email address he gives us.
Right.
Right.
I guess before I make a decision on that, I'd like to know, did we send his other bills to his?
Well, no, what initiates it is he gives us this information, like Jesse's saying.
Right.
We wouldn't send it to a different email address.
You said, Jesse, you just said that if maybe we picked his wrong email address, would there be 2 email?
No, what I meant is he has always received the bill at that email, whatever the one
at that
that
one,
has been
okay.
there for years.
Yeah.
So because it's not being,
That answers
doing
my
that, I don't know if
question.
he changed
That answers
it,
my
or something
question.
happened.
Yep.
I'm just saying that he's always received his email at that, his bill at that email.
If it goes on to say in the corner here, Mr. Holmes,
He now has changed it to his personal email
he
address.
wants to know if we could credit
Yeah.
his late fee. He says he never got the bill last quarter because it went to his business account and probably got deleted.
Right.
Well,
It's in the same account that it's been going to all along.
I don't know about you, but
And it's been changed now to his person.
the only person that deletes my emails is me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we say no.
Mike's motion to say no. Second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next one is a property tax late fee for the Wardells. I think you got an email from Mrs. Wardell.
I'm gonna stay out of it, she's my niece. I do know they pay their bills on time. I know that.
I asked Jesse about this today. Jesse can say that Jesse has a pile of mail that gets sent back to her when bills don't go through. And go ahead.
Over here. I've never received anything back from her, or back from them, stating that it came back. One of the things, though, that just so that we're clear on, is, so she doesn't receive the bill in January. So she states in here, I simply wait. And then in March, she received a bill. She finally arrived. So she waits January, February, and March doesn't contact us. I mean, she's very smart. They're a very smart family. You know, Jefferson County, there's options available. You know, I'm not really sure on why that has happened. When she sent me on March 23rd, the check, it had late penalties taken off, and at that point, the only option at that point was for her to contact Jefferson County. I wrote it on April 16th, sent it to her. I know she's stating that she didn't receive it till the 20th, which is a possibility. But at that point, March 15th is the last day that you can pay taxes in full with penalties. So at that point, I mean, there's really nothing that she could have done. She still would have had to contact Jefferson County in order to find out what her payoff was at that point.
Jesse, did you say, so the bill goes out in January, the original first bill goes out in January?
The original.
Then is there a second notice sent?
A second notice is sent.
When?
Yes. Right near the tail end of March 15th. And, you know, from looking, just so that we're clear on it, I always put an article in the paper stating that the taxes have arrived, that they have come out, that they're being sent out, and then March 15th is the last day that you can pay for penalty. That has been put out there. Also, too, in the tax collection, it states, the failure to mail a statement or the failure of a property owner to receive a statement will not affect the validity of the taxes or interest prescribed by law, real property tax law 922, except if herein below is provided. So, then it says that failure to state the amount of local assistance or does not affect the validity of taxes or penalties imposed by law in respect thereto. So she knows, everyone knows you have to pay the taxes. You know, they always come out in January. Now, I don't know why she didn't receive it, but I can tell you that I did not receive it back. And I received several back. And when they do come back, I always try to find the address and mail it back to them. But I didn't get it returned.
You mail out the initial taxes to
Yeah.
everybody? Do you have a record of mailing this to them?
Every tax bill comes from Jefferson County. Every tax bill.
Do they have a record of mailing something out?
There is a, kind of like a voucher from Jefferson County that has everyone stated on it that is mailed out to.
Okay, so did they get one mailed out for the Jefferson County?
Yeah. Yeah. And if it was returned, I would have that if the mail returned it to me. And I have had several be returned. And if they do come back, I try to find an address to resend it out to them, and that's what these are. So we didn't get it back. But again, she states in here that she simply waited. I mean, you're talking January, February, March. That's 3 months. No contact with me at all. She never called, never tried. She just simply waited. That's, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just,
I mean, at this point in time, correct me if I'm wrong, we can't do anything about it anyway. It's in the county's hands. So unless we write her a check to reimburse her because she chose to sit and wait, I don't think there's any motion for us to make because we can't
Out of our
do
hand,
anything.
it's out of our hand.
Out of our hands. Right. March 15th, it goes to the county.
I mean, realistically, she had to talk to the county about waiving it, because the county controls it now.
yes. I haven't accrued her late fees. I haven't charged her for anything. She hasn't paid a cent to the town of Alexandria. So right now, she's just looking, and to be honest with you, I'm not really sure on why she's stating that, But at this point, it's March 15th is my cutoff date. Jefferson County says, that's it, boom. If it's not post-dated, when she sent me her check, if it wasn't post-dated on March 15th, I can't accept it. And her postmark is March 23rd. And so is her check on March 23rd.
Okay,
You know,
well,
I mean, it's.
so do we deny it or do we not rule on it?
Who gets the penalty? They say this penalty.
County.
The county? So what,
If she-
what deal? What's it got to do with us?
It doesn't. That's what I'm saying. She hasn't paid anything to the town of Alexandria. Now, because of March 15th
Why
being
don't you check from us
today,
for something that we...
she now has to contact Jefferson County in order to get the payoff. And to pay
So by
that
rights, do
tax.
we just have to tell her, send her something that tells us it's out of
Yeah, I
our,
mean-
it's out of our jurisdiction?
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible thing. And, you know, I feel bad that, you know, about the whole situation. I wish she would have contacted us. I think it would have been, you know, rectified at that point. We would have certainly gotten her bill. But she had options. It's available on Jefferson County. It's available on Town of Alexandria. There's options. So,
You can go on the county website and print an actual bill out.
you know,
The other thing on the late fee, I said county, but I believe the installment fee goes to the county, doesn't it? Town doesn't have to.
no, we get all the installment fees.
Yeah, who does, because it was in the.
We collect all the installments, so, yes,
Okay,
and
but the email with the county treasurer, I thought that came up in this is off the subject.
If we only start collecting the first one, and the
Right.
county collects the second and third payments, then the county will keep the installment.
right, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, and again, I feel bad.
Just to,
But it really is out of our hands.
just to go back a second on what you said, Sandy.
I would just recommend you...
We collect the first one. The installment fee is in the first one.
Yes, sir.
So,
Is there more than one fee?
No,
No?
no.
Oh, then
You're talking about after March 15th, it's just one fee, Jefferson County.
the installment fees, if you choose to do 3 payments,
One surcharge.
That's how we made the motion. We made the motion, to furlough them as of, this Friday, day after tomorrow, with the consent of the judges, until the courts are reopened. Unemployed. Yes. Yep. Yes. Perfect, okay, thank you very much. Yep, I will. Okay, bye. Yeah, they're fine with it. They went through the emails from the Fifth Circuit, whatever there, and, they said that, you know, between the judges and the
Was that Dave?
That was Dave. So he talked to the other, judge there, Schaffer, whatever, and they're both fine with it. So they're gonna tell the clerks that as of Saturday, they're.
The issue I have with that is that, so that means it's able to happen. We could have saved the town a bunch of money if we did it a while ago.
Thank you, Sandy, otherwise it wouldn't have happened right now.
Well, the other thing is, we knew a couple weeks ago that other towns were doing that. And I'm gonna be specific, because Dave told me this quote unquote, but, they told me they had orders that we had to pay them.
Well, we did have orders, we had to pay them.
Yeah, well, didn't they show us, send us a letter?
Yeah, we had copies of, yeah. In fact, the clerk that wrote it was a little pissed off, if I remember the tone of the email, was a little like, what part didn't you understand, you know, sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why, we wouldn't interpret any other way than we'll do what we did. Now we know different.
So how did other towns lay them off weeks ago?
Sandy was at their meeting.
No.
They take the same road that I do. It's better to ask for forgiveness. Let's try it, and if we get yelled at, then we'll deal with it.
But at this stage of the game, it doesn't matter what they did or what we did.
Right.
It's what we can do now.
Right.
So the email that you guys read said from Syracuse that we had to lay them off and pay them.
Yes.
Right.
But that was also 6 weeks ago when we were first starting this, and it was a way different thing, because it was all so
So
new, and it is still new, so let's move on. It's getting really
So the
late.
courts in Syracuse changed their mind.
They've had other emails since
I'll
then.
second the motion.
Yeah.
Wow, he's not listening to you.
So to go back to Wardell, I will contact her tomorrow and let her know that, again, it's unfortunate, but it's
Yep, okay.
It's the county. She's kind of.
And I gave her
She's
the
needs-
information that
right.
she needed,
After that.
you know.
Let me ask a question. If the courts in Syracuse changed their mind about the town having to pay them, do you think it's the duty of the courts in Syracuse to contact us
That
or
would
their
be nice.
judges and tell them that?
I thought you were gonna ask if it could be retroactive. But no.
No.
I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, I just don't get it. I'm sorry, but
I think that the enhanced unemployment comp
Changes the whole
changes a
thing.
lot of minds.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
They
that,
wanted their people to be protected,
Well, that-
and now they're better than protected, so that's
Okay.
okay.
they went from half pay to
So-
115%.
So we should have known a couple of days after the federal unemployment, $600 got added to everybody, which was how long ago?
Been a couple weeks now. I
Right.
think.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Their original ruling may have been before that.
You're right, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
So
So they would have only got 50% of their average
Yes.
pay.
Right.
Yes.
so
The
there you go.
$600 came out, and people went to the people in Syracuse and said, whoa, we can make more money.
Okay,
Let's
next
keep
one.
going, let's keep going, okay.
Okay.
The next one is DPW
We're going
changes
backwards.
dates. Is that just a statement? I mean, it's nothing that we voted on or anything?
So
else? We just let
number
them know?
20 is the
J&J.
guys wanted us to set dates for going to 410s or wondered what we wanted to do about that. We've never had it in our policy. The Teamsters policy or contract has it in there that the superintendent decides.
Yep.
So here it's us, the town board, that decides for these guys. Anybody got any thoughts?
Aren't they
I don't
on
think
call?
we should, I don't think we should.
Huh?
Aren't they on call, DPW? Water and sewer?
Well, they're on call
We're
anyway.
talking to water and sewer. So they, 4-day work week, at the 5th day, somebody's sewer blows up, they gotta go fix it.
Yeah, they're on call, yes, yeah, absolutely.
They just don't have to,
But what I was gonna say is, I don't think we should, this should be like an annual thing. We, just like it is with the contract with the Teamsters, I mean, it isn't like every year this day, it's when he decides. So we decide this year, and then next year we do it again.
So what do you wanna say for a date?
Well, when's the pay period? Let's do the pay period.
Pay period just started on Monday, so it ends in 2 weeks.
I guess the question would be, what's the rationale to go to 10? And when that changes, then you go to the 8.
I know what my rationale would be. My rationale would be having them come to work in the morning early when it's light out and not dark.
Yes.
So it's not dark for the first
But I
hour of
think
work.
Ronnie's asking the difference between 5 days or 4, right?
Or, well, with 5, you get better coverage, as opposed to 410s. And I think part of the theory behind 410s is you get more productivity because you've got less
coffee break.
time off.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
can we modify this a little bit? Because I'm with John, because they're on call. So
On
that-
call.
So that addresses the 7 days, forget about 5. But we should do this in such a way that there's no overtime involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And can't we say one of them takes Monday through Thursday and the other one takes Tuesday through Friday, so that one of them is there?
They have to-
Monday through
they have
Thursday?
to be there.
Do they have to work the same exact schedule?
They have to be there every day, 7 days a week, because they have tests at both the water plant and sewer plant that have to be done 7 days a week. The way they do it right now is they alternate weekends. This weekend, Jamie will do the testing for both water and sewer. Next weekend, Jay will do the testing for both water and sewer.
But they adjust their work schedule so there's no overtime. I'm just saying, we just make sure we mention that. Instead of 5 days, it's 4 days, but still you gotta do that.
You know, as far as overtime, the only person who gets overtime is Jay, because Jamie is salaried.
Right.
Byron is locked into 40 up there. He never does any overtime up there, so the only one who gets overtime
Well,
is Jay.
the 4-day work week doesn't really apply to Byron anyway.
So you wanna do something that makes it so that he gets no overtime.
Well, 40 hours, however it gets, you know, it's broken up in such a way that it doesn't end up with some manufactured overtime because the 4-day work week is opposed to 5. I'm just saying, see, they work 4 10s and then Friday, they come in, it's overtime.
Yeah. Okay, so you wanna,
Unanticipated stuff is unanticipated, but make every effort not to.
so you're just concerned about the overtime on Friday. What about the overtime on Saturday and Sunday?
Well, except for Jay, there's no real issue.
So if there's a water leak at 1 in the morning, what happens there? Will they get paid overtime?
When they get called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said, unanticipated.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's understood.
I don't know if I've been overcomplicating it, but that's,
So your motion?
well, I'm in favor, well, okay. Do you want to start beginning
The next pay period.
upcoming pay period, which would be like Monday, I believe, right? And we're gonna end it like,
Start Saturday, actually, right?
Yeah,
Saturday,
start
the start of
Saturday.
the pay period.
and when would we propose on ending it? The 4 10s? Do we have any idea on that?
So are we going to 410s, or are we coming off of 410s?
No, going into
Going
it.
to it.
They're not currently in 4 10s right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Because, like you're saying, we don't wanna get so far into the fall that it's dark, and when they come in.
Do we need to set the end date for the 410s, or can we just do it as we get closer to it?
Why wouldn't we?
We could.
Yeah.
That lets them know. Do you have an end, I thought you were looking at your calendar. Do you have an end date?
First of October 1st.
October 1st?
Sorry.
When's daylight change?
Third week in October.
I think it's like, right around first part of, yeah.
Days
end of
start getting
October,
short,
first
days
November.
start getting shorter on June 21st, so the question is,
Yeah.
when's it getting dark at 4:30 or 4 o'clock? Not till daylight savings.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you wanna say 1st of October, we can say 1st of October.
Okay,
So what's that date, Ronnie, that we're saying for it to start on Saturday? Which will be a week from this Saturday?
Week from this Saturday or this Saturday?
No, it'll be a week if it's a pay period.
Well, or pay week,
Oh, pay week, then it'll be this Saturday,
right,
Yeah.
25th.
25th.
Right.
So we'll start it on April 25th and we'll end it on October 1st. What's October 1st? What day of the week is that?
Make it October 2nd.
October
That's a Friday. Yeah, so that'd be the end of a week.
Yep.
Yep.
And so as far as the overtime, no overtime on Friday?
well, avoid overtime, yeah.
Overtime on Saturday and Sunday?
Well, Jay again is different, because he's hourly, so that's just gonna happen.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Jay,
they've already-
Jay's gonna have to adjust his 4 10s to be 3 10s and an 8.
You say no, so then no overtime on the weekend?
No, Friday.
Oh, okay, because he has to come in and do his testing, okay, I understand.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Does anybody else have a thought
If
on
they got
that?
their 40 hours in 4 days, and the 5th day something goes wrong, they're gonna have to get paid overtime, right?
But that's unanticipated,
Okay.
but what happens anyway, he has to do testing on Friday, every day. So it would make no sense to have 40 hours.
It's only every other work that Jay gets that overtime on Friday,
On the
Saturday, and Sunday.
But now we're throwing Friday, this is not Saturday and Sunday, it's Friday.
So on the week that Jay's covering it, he works 3 10s and an 8.
There you go.
And then he does, yeah, okay? So we need a motion in that, for that?
I would make a motion.
Motion by Mike, second?
Yep.
Second by John, all, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Next one is the same as number 8, next one is have attorney research procedure for creating ambulance tax. Just, did you put that on your radar?
I will.
I'll help you with that, because I could go to Association of Towns, and I already have had a discussion with Roxanne Burns about it, and I've had a discussion, I guess it's just been with Roxanne. So, it's gotta be, would you say this is probably through a county person?
Okay. Well, I've got some questions. We can talk about it because, I mean, are we entering into a contract for ambulance services and then just raise taxes? I know you want to call it an ambulance tax.
Yeah, right.
You know.
There may be terminology things, there may be all kinds of things that are tied to
We're
this,
creating
because
a town-wide district.
what did we see that other
They just raise taxes.
Right.
other places have a tax that they call a health tax? But we don't know what it uses. Cape Vincent. I guess we just need to look into it.
Oh, that's what they call it, okay, yeah.
That's what they call it, but it's.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like a lighting district, a fire district, it'd be this district.
But how is a ambulance district different than a line item in our regular budget?
This would not really, we'd be like a pass-through.
But let me take a look at it. I agree with you. I think it's just a tax. But
Yeah. The only thing would be, it could be structured so that it didn't include the village, whereas the town tax includes the village.
Well, and I was thinking
I'm
about
just
that
trying to
too,
think what,
because like the village, that's what kind of initiated this conversation, our conversation with the village person, but there's
our
a,
fire district tax does exactly that.
well, we have a, right, well, we have a fire protection district that the village fire department does, but it's in the town. Would that already cover the ambulance or not?
Good.
We do that right now with because you've got Redwood Fire District, Plessis Fire District.
Right,
And then everything except the village is in a, what do they call it, fire protection.
But I mean, there's a portion of the town that is a fire protection that the village fire department covers.
And we pay them for that.
Yeah, they have the ambulance, nobody else has the ambulance.
Right.
And so what they're saying is, why are we paying for this ambulance and we're not seeing anything from the other protection districts in the town?
Well, they do from the town one. I don't know what they do at Redwood and Plessis, but Redwood used to have their own ambulance.
Right, but they don't now.
But the town of Alexandria Fire Protection has line items for the ambulance. And I know we do.
I don't know about that.
I'm sure we had it.
So you're talking about as far as in our budget?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. It's not on the taxes that way.
No.
It's in our budget as,
yeah.
I'll look at it.
What's this, Matt, while you're doing that?
I don't know, what is that?
Laundromat, what's it doing?
Looks like the number of washing machines for
No, that-
EDUs.
That's a picture of the
Yeah.
washing machines over at Felder's. That's all. It has nothing to do with tonight's meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't let it in front of me.
That was this morning.
Well, Ronnie, we can talk with Bob about that.
Well, just okay, fire prevention and control, Alex Bay Fire Protection. We have budgeted $126,019. Alex Bay Ambulance, $41,000. Orleans Fire Protection, $21,000. Orleans Ambulance, $14,000, for a total of $202,019.
So by rights, we could just take that Alex Bay ambulance and raise that up to cover this second ambulance that they're asking for $60,000.
Well, that's not, all I'm saying is we're already collecting 41,000 and passing it on.
They've already got 2 ambulances.
No,
Well, they've got two now.
they've always had one ambulance.
But the second ambulance, I
And
think
they
is
just
Redwood.
bought a new ambulance
Right.
and kept the second one
Right,
to keep it active because it's official that Redwood is now out of the ambulance business.
right, so
And
they
they-
have 2.
Yep,
Yeah, physically too, they've got the old Alex
got-
Bay ambulance
yeah.
and the new Alex Bay ambulance, yeah. And I believe they kept the second one because they weren't gonna get much for it.
Yep,
they weren't gonna get much for it, and also because they realized that they're covering the whole town now. And they had a situation that happened a couple of weeks ago where they had to take somebody to Syracuse in the ambulance, and they had an ambulance call while they were gone.
So this is a fully stocked, ready to go second ambulance, okay? That's a big step up,
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Cost them a bunch of money.
yeah.
So maybe we just deal with it through the line item.
Well, I'm just saying that 41,000 is raised by the parcels of land that aren't in the Redwood Fire District, aren't in the Plessis Fire District, and aren't in the village. So that 41,000 is all the parcels that I didn't just name.
That's what I'm
So,
driving at.
part of the problem,
Where we're sitting right now.
So if it was a town tax on it, it would include Redwood and Plessis.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's not that way now.
No, it's not.
And that's what they're kind of,
Okay, I see what you mean, yeah. It'd be a broader base than what it is presently.
they pull in those two districts.
well, it
Yeah.
would genuinely reflect the service they're providing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, on behalf of your fire district, you also could add an item for ambulance, right? I mean, you speak for the fire districts.
Well, the thing is, the Redwood Fire District and the Plessis Fire District, they have their board of fire commissioners,
And
right?
they come to you with their budget, right?
Right.
And if it doesn't contain enough, can't you add something to it?
I have no idea.
I think you can.
Well, see, this is what the other thing would happen.
I'm not
If that money ends
Yeah.
up, if that money ends up in theirs, they keep it. No matter what you call it, they keep it. They're not gonna give it to,
If it was a line item, it'd be cleaner, there's no question. But it would need to be town outside, not town-wide. And we don't have any town outside tax at all, which is a whole nother discussion that we're not talking about tonight.
thank you.
Okay, well, we'll continue talking about it at a different time. Okay?
Fine, with me, yeah.
The last one is just wanted to clear up some things that were misunderstood. On our paychecks that the employees get, we have a section on the paycheck that says COVID-19. The reason that was put on there, COVID-19, is for the people that get paid that are not physically working because of the regulations by the state of non-essential workers, 100% of them not working. We get no reimbursement from the state or federal government. That was strictly done for bookkeeping purposes only, so that we could keep that money separate from the other money, just so that we knew when people were working and when people were under the COVID-19, which means not working but getting paid. So, timeline for highway employees not working and then coming back to work, and that's the other thing is that the first week, as far as the highway barn was concerned, I believe nobody worked that first week after it went to 100%. Because there's been a question about essential versus non-essential, and that question is, if it snowed, they're essential. If the road needed repair or caved in, they're essential. It's kind of not a very clear area there. So we said that they didn't work that first week.
well, the other one was a tracking.
That was dictated by us, was it not?
Right.
Right? And then the second week, they came back to work. That's what we wanted to make clear at this. That was not dictated by us, that they come back to work.
We didn't dictate the first week, we said 5 days, 5 people, 4 days. Mike said lay them all off. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Well, the other thing too is, like going back to what you were saying before, we kind of did this as a tracking mechanism if the federal government or the state government says you're gonna get reimbursed, so it'd be easy for us to say, there it is right there.
Right.
But there's no grant involved, it's just a tracking device, that's it.
Yeah,
What's,
it's totally,
what's prompting this whole discussion?
because we wanted to clear up.
Well, some people, there, out in social media, there was misconception that the town received a grant.
Oh,
That's what that was referring to.
And that the board pocketed the grant.
oh,
Did you get any?
I said I wanted to know which one you took.
Yeah, really, who got ours?
My share.
Yeah, oh,
But it's just a tracking device, that's all.
no, yeah, whatever.
Any expenses, any, including this, so
Yeah.
make it easier.
So
if
just
we
to
got
make
lucky.
it clear that the fact that, Mike was the one decided to lay them off the first week, and Mike was the one that totally called them back the second week to work. That's the biggest thing that we wanted to clear up.
Okay.
And I don't have anything for executive, I don't think, okay?
Nobody dare say a word, would they?
So are we don't
I'd
have
just
to
like-
meet tomorrow, we don't have to meet tomorrow night?
Nope.
You have
So you're adjourning it to May sixth,
May 6th for the introduction of the ordinance?
Right.
Is that what it was?
yeah.
So we're adjourning or are we closing?
Do we have to
I don't
make a
know,
motion?
that's up to you.
We have to
Adjourning
make a
to May
motion.
6th?
You have to make a motion
Got
to
plenty of
close
time.
it. if
Oh,
you're gonna
that's
close
right,
it.
we're adjourning to May 6th.
Then
Are you
haven't gotta
gonna-
worry
are you
about
gonna adjourn
advertising it, right?
Adjourn to May 6th at 5 o'clock. I need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Sandy, second by John.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
I'd just like our town attorney not to say anything about briefest meetings in the future because he jinxed us. This is gonna be one of the longest ones we've had.
Yeah, well, it's all tied to the budget.
No, it was all good discussion, and we got a lot of